I was not aware that they had released it.
Yeah, no, it's been out for, oh god, how long? It's been out for a while now, actually. I'm pretty sure.
Huh.
Um, yeah.
Well, that's new.
No.
I thought it was gonna be coming out in a month or two.
No. It's been out for a while. Let me check. I don't know if it's. I'm pretty sure it's not early access. Um, let me check real quick. Yeah, no, it's been out since the 31st of May.
Okay,
You missed it.
that's significantly quicker than I thought.
Mm. But no, I think it's worth some time. I've yet to, I the guns are really fun because they're just, a bunch of cool guns. I just finally got a shotgun, two different kinds of shotguns, one being a double barrel basically, and the other being like a auto shotty, and man, they're pretty fucking good. Blowing people away. Though I will say, sound design wise, I might have to, I don't know, turn the sound up when I'm playing it, but it feels like it's missing something. I don't know. It feels a little too quiet
There
all the
was
time.
one weapon in particular. I think it was a shotgun
Yeah.
that absolutely blasted.
Yeah, that's the double barrel one that I found. It fucking. I'm playing on hard as well, so like, it's a kick in the teeth sometimes. You die pretty quick. I didn't play on impossible because I'm not an idiot, but um,
Yeah, intentionally playing on impossible in any sort of Warhammer setting is
not until I've played the game at least once, and then even then, I don't know. Anyway, hey, hello everyone. Welcome back
I'm
to
your
Table.
second.
Fuck. Welcome back to Table Talk, Discussion, and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Great on 95.
I, as usually, am your second host. It's ItsSneakyAdolf.
And Boo will be here later, as usual.
Speaking of which, I have a somewhat funny story regarding that.
Oh, okay.
So, I am doing research
Okay,
at school, right?
sure.
And, I didn't have anywhere to put up some papers I had looked up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just private messaged them to my friend, and I was like, "Hold these,"
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, "Yeah, whatever." And I was looking for the paper had something that was particularly relevant
Mm-hmm.
to this research group.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, I found this." And the professor was like, "That's really interesting. Do you have the quote?" And I'm like, "I forgot my laptop at home, but and I pulled up the message. I'm like, I messaged my friend like, hold this for me. Um so here you go, and I handed my teacher my phone,
Okay.
and
Oh.
he looks at the article. He's like, all right, yeah, well, yeah, we'll have to change this, we'll change that.
Mm.
And afterward he looks up at me and he goes, Sneaky Adolf.
Mm.
And my butt puckered.
Mm-hmm.
And I went,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, it's literally from this one time a friend walked in the common room while I was doing bio homework. I swear. And he's like, uh-huh. So that's how my yesterday went.
Oh, that's funny. That's really good. Oh. Okay. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, so I don't know,
You'll
like
never have to talk to that professor ever again.
oh, it's my research
No,
advisor.
I know, but after the fact, like, you'll
Yeah,
never.
no,
Nope.
just counting down the weeks.
That's funny. That's
So
funny.
for all I know, my teacher thinks I'm a Nazi or something. I don't know.
Oh God, that's great. Well,
Yes. So how's everyone in the audience today?
I was about to say,
Please tell me you're doing better than me.
it's good to see you, Draco Kraken. Good to see that you're finally able to catch the show. Slay, dang, almost forgot about this. Tales of Arise has been eating so much of my time. I saw that came out. I've yet to ask Boo if he's gotten it yet. Because Boo is really into the Tales of series, as well as Brogan. Indigo, what's up? All I heard is guns are fun. Was talking about Necromunda hired gun. The guns are fun. Steely, gentlemen, I'm loading up Prey 2017. I have some old Forester Statesman bourbon, and my favorite live stream is on. I raise my glass to you. Thank you, sir. Glad to hear we're your favorite. Hell yeah.
Dude, Prey is pretty good.
I actually have it, and I was debating on whether to start it or Dishonored 2, and I went for Dishonored 2.
I've played both of those games quite religiously.
Yeah, I was
had you asked me, I was going to have told you Prey.
See, I was going to, but you weren't feeling so great that day, so I was like, I'll just make my own decisions. I might just play Prey instead anyway, because Dishonored 2, as fun as I was having a time of it, I'm also like,
yeah,
it's all right.
So like I would say I played through Prey like 2.5 times to like recommend it to you. To be like, oh wow, it's so good that Aiden played through it 2.5 times. But like I've played through Dishonored 2 like 5 times.
Okay, well there you go.
But I've owned Dishonored 2 for way longer.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it really sneaks up on you, doesn't it? For the response to your professor.
Shut up.
I don't know, man. That's gonna make getting that letter of recommendation a lot harder. Steely says, I love this game. This is my second run going all human neuromods. Cool.
Fuck, I'm studying chemistry and my name's ItsSneakyAdolf.
Yeah, you're fucked. Oh well. Anyway.
So that's my day.
That is your day. My day was not like that. Thank fuck.
I would hope it wasn't. Because not only out of a sense of concern for you,
right,
but out of a like sort of a, which isn't that many times, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Well, let's move on to comments, eh?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Be right back.
Okay, I will start off. So. Oh, I can hear myself. Oh. Anyway, so last episode. This was on the actual live stream itself. This comment was left by a friend of mine, in fact.
Our first host, Alejandro.
Thank you. Hello. Yes.
I bear a request for you, namely.
I will do my best to acquiesce.
Namely, would you give me a link to the stream and also a link to the chat?
Yes. First, the stream link.
because I have my own shilling to do.
I understand. Second the chat link.
Donka.
You are welcome. So, like I was saying, this comment was left by one of my friends, Funky Fresh. Says, I think a system for food other than ration, yes, sustained. Or, sorry, ration? Yes, sustained. Would be very cool for implementing in games. Of course, probably not something too overly complicated or in-depth, but even just a simple food quality chart / method based on how well prepared the food is would give the system a little more heft, and give the players a bit more to chew on, pun most definitely intended, than just food. Yes, satisfied. It could give certain benefits, as you mentioned, such as being able to recover from exhaustion a little bit faster if you eat and rest in really good conditions, or maybe even the opposite if you eat super poorly and sleep in Great Uncle Bobby's box of used heroin needles after a night with the neighborhood junkies. Pretty good. I'd give players the chance to prep for their own food and such, and it could bring a bit of benefit in the realm of roleplay. Also, thank you for the plastic crack, plastic crack dealer, TM. You're welcome. Don't worry, you'll get more. So, yeah. I think honestly, some very, like, not small, but at least somewhat beneficial effect for food would go a long way in making people actually give a shit. You know, even if it's so slim, like if it's just like a +1 to something, they'll go, I need to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need that bonus.
And then they'll find some way to break it, and which honestly, despite how that may sound, I'm actually totally for them finding a way to break it, because like, good God, if you can like break a +1 to your AC, like, I want to see how.
Steely says, just wait till you run into Sneaky Stalin. That's when things are really going overboard.
Sneaky Napoleon.
Pizza Funk says, on the last episode, I didn't get to post this in chat originally, but my TTRPG story comes from my first experience with 5e. At that time, I was mostly just watching my friends play a Ravenloft game. Nice. Whilst they were playing, one of their characters died. In this campaign, if you came back to life, you gained a random attribute the player had to roll for on a table. He got one where he grew a second face at the back of his head, with its own personality, kind of like the one guy from the first Harry Potter movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. I then suggested the idea.
Quirrell?
Yes, Professor Quirrell.
Yeah. Okay.
I then suggested the idea that I would be that personality, just like in real life. LOL. Which I then did my best Ghost Nappa impression. After that, he decided to not play that character. It was a lot of fun.
Vegeta. God damn it, Nappa. Speaking of which, actually, now that we were talking about Professor Quirrell, and I happen to be on a rabbit holy mood today.
Okay. I'm here for it. I drank an energy drink like an idiot.
Yeah, I'm drinking one too.
I'm drinking a Rain. If anybody knows, not sponsored, but
I am drinking a Monster Chaotic Juice.
Oh, not sponsored. Anyway,
not sponsored. There was a man who had like a partially formed like twin brother.
Excuse me.
At the back of his head.
Oh.
It was a second face on the back of his head, a la Professor Quirrell.
Right.
And would whisper to him at night.
I'll
see if I can find it. It's the most cursed thing.
Feeding that second face will be awkward. I'm a G Fuel guy, though I also go for the Monster and Red Bull. I will have to try Rain. It's Rain as in like a king. Reigning a king.
Yes.
REIGAN. Rain. I'm having a cherry limeade right now. It's pretty good,
my boy.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Good taste.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, I like cherries. I like lime. Let's try it. You know, pretty good. But yeah, this thing is like
Yeah.
300 milligrams of fucking caffeine. I'm gonna die.
Edward Mordrake.
Edward Mordrake.
Yeah, I'll get you a photo when
Okay.
Google loads.
I've yet to try G Fuel or the other one. What's the other one? Gamer Sups or whatever. I never cared to, you know. Everybody's shilling it, and I'm like, you know, it's probably fine. Oh, wait, I recognize this. Don't worry, chat, I'm showing you. I recognize that. I think I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm.
Gross.
The only flavors of G Fuel that I have had were the Sonic the Hedgehog peach rings, which is excellent.
Sounds
and the Sonic the Hedgehog chili dog, which was not.
I can imagine. Yuck.
I had a friend who bought like a tub and like pretty much just left it at work and was like, if you want you want to like try a bit, go for it. So like I made like a Dixie cup's worth. And I tried a sip and I spat it out in the sink and I'm like, yeah, wow, it's awful, just like I thought. And I
don't know what else I would expect.
I wanted to know exactly how awful.
Right.
So and then I started sipping my drink and the taste on my tongue was not disappearing. And it tasted like 2-day-old like water that hot dogs had been boiled in.
Oh, okay.
Like red hot dogs were boiled at like a street vendor vendor cart area thing. Yeah, it tasted like 2-day-old water.
Disgusting.
And yeah, and you know what? Pray to any god you want, old or new. That taste is not disappearing off your tongue. Yeah, of course I tried the chili dog steely. I needed to know. I like Sonic.
Your services is appreciated. Used to be a major NOS guy back in the first run of college. I remember NOS. That like fell out super hard. I don't know anybody who drank it after like high school. It was interesting.
Me.
True, you did a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. I retract. And Sonic, yes. Okay. So last comment from Lux, and don't worry, it's long. Here we go. I had hoped for the sweep the leg reference to clue you in on the implication of the blonde comment. I guess not, but it's something this Adolf character would not something this Adolf character would know anything about. That guy wasn't blonde. He had no idea what he was talking about, or any comprehension of the beings he was messing around with. You should try asking its sneaky Junko instead. Our goddess of despair is an exemplar for all blonde people. She would be able to explain why blonde people would like Age of Sigmar. Her intelligence far surpasses my own, for although my mind has the mass of a giant sun, it is compacted to the size of a brain, giving it the density and smoothness of a neutron star. But Junko's mind is like a black hole of despair. However, some knowledge is not meant for the uninitiated. Okay.
I don't... Maybe it's the brain injuries, but I cannot follow this comment.
I don't have any, and I don't know what's going on.
Maybe it's because English is functionally a second language for me now. I don't know.
Fair. Anyway, I do like the idea of gaining some advantages from eating well, but I'm not sure how I would implement it without it being gamey. I guess I could just let it be gamey, but in terms of realism, eating well or poorly affects your health over time. In the short term, all that matters is consuming enough calories to fuel your daily activities. Long term, if you're not eating well, you'll start to show the effects of malnutrition. Characters might develop scurvy or something. I'd imagine that if you only ever eat good berries, you'd start to see some negative effects eventually. But short term, you mostly just need the energy, which is basically what starvation mechanics already represent. From a DMing perspective, it would take some work to figure out a way to keep track of that over the long term. Probably more work than I'm willing to do for the payoff. It'd be...
That...
Sorry, go on.
Semi-related to that, there's a character in my campaign who I'm not entirely sure why, but it's like his metabolism is like boosted. So he has to eat like 20 pounds worth of food per day.
Oh, he's the Flash.
Yeah. Cool. And he will, like, for breakfast, just eat a handful of good berries along with his breakfast.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Steely says, is that some kind of anime reference? Dunno. Draco Kraken says, Junko, the character from Danganronpa games? Maybe. I've not played them. I know Boo has. And I know Brogan has, so I've yet to, but apparently I should only play the first one, which makes me sad, because there's like 3. Or 4, I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I'd be interested in a system that incorporates that mechanic into the rules, but I don't think I'd try to house rule for it. And that's perfectly fair. Yeah, overall, I don't know how to make it so that it's really something that is going to be... Maybe you could have it be like a hidden benefit or something? I don't know.
Nah, because they're gonna figure out the benefit real quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Short-term, immediate buffs are gamey, but I guess they would encourage characters to eat well. I don't personally need that encouragement, but I suppose there are players who would. For my part, I just like to have my character be well-fed and comfortable whenever possible. It just, well, maintains immersion, which is something I see as at least partly the player's responsibility. I haven't seen Wrath of the Righteous yet. It's kind of disappointing to hear that it might not be so good. So I wouldn't normally judge a game by its tutorial, but I also can't blame someone for seeing a poorly written opening sequence and not wanting to invest any more time into it. Personally, if I've already paid for any piece of media, I'll make my best effort to consume it entirely, so I try to only buy things when I'm pretty sure I'll like them. And that's, you know what? That's a good idea! That's why I appreciate that Steam implemented the refund system. Man, is that helpful! Speaking of, I played a little bit of Breath Edge, if anybody knows of that. It's a survival game in space, and it's like it says that it's funny. And I got really sick of it because it was trying to be funny. And so I was like,
The please laugh kind of funny?
Like, I'm sure it would make a 12-year-old laugh. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. And I was just, and it, like, the survival elements were like, okay. Like, one of the things you have to do is make something called, like, stuff that the developers put in the game. Right? Like, not in that many words, but that is the consensus of what it is. And then you make a dick statue out of junk, and then you can hit it against your head, and you get an achievement for it. And it's required. It's part of, like, the progression.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I was just like, okay, sure. And then I kept going a little bit, and, like, the entire time you're getting this call from a quote-unquote babe who's got a profile picture of tits in a bikini, and she's like, hey, save me, don't eat, you know, telling you all this shit because, and like saying, oh, there could be things out here that are trying to kill you, but don't worry about that, trust me. And I'm like, as soon as it came on the screen, I was like, oh, that's an alien that's trying to kill me. Neat. And it was just like, it just kept going. It just keeps invading the fucking screen every like 10 to 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. You have to use condoms for, like, you can use a condom in order to make, like, an air thing, so you can have more air while you're traveling around from your...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, So I was like, okay, I played it for an hour and a half. I'm done. Like, this is not I wanted something that was survival in space that was solo that I could play so many other things. Thank you. There was no laugh track slay. No. It felt like there should have been because that's what they were trying to get me to do, and I was like, okay, no. Anyway, I might still be okay with Wrath of the Righteous. There could be enough good points to make up for the bad. Pretty much everything I like is flawed in some way, but I'll have a look at a Let's Play or something if I ever get around to it. And I'll probably at least wait another 6 months so they can fix bugs and see if it comes up on sale. That is fair. That refund policy isn't perfect. I got 6 hours into Sekiro without ever parrying once until I hit a boss that required it. So yeah, beat DS3, can't beat Sekiro, goodbye $60. Okay.
Get good.
Yeah, I mean...
I say that as someone who also, like, played Dark Souls 3 and has not finished Sekiro.
Sure. Yeah, it's... Go on, sorry.
Every combat in that game feels like an uphill slog and unfun. It feels like I'm being punished for fighting, and I don't want to be punished for playing the game when stealth is not an option.
From what I've seen from that game, I was like, this looks neat visually. Right? Yes. And like having seen that, I watched some gameplay of it, and then I was like, nah, I don't want to play this. I'm good. I don't know. It's just like I still haven't even finished Dark Souls 1, which is fun and like I like it, but I just did not care to finish it, you know? I tried to do like a video series on it once and get as far as I could, and then I stopped because I just stopped caring. But for something like Sekiro, it is just like, I don't know. Just forcing... Oh, go on.
I've not finished Dark Souls 1 either.
Yeah.
I started with 2, which seems to commonly be regarded as the right place to start because 2 is the not good one.
Yes.
Loved 3, and then played a bit of 1. The 3 is amazing, to be honest. And I played like half of 1.
I got to... Where did I get?
I just wasn't a fan of the gameplay design of 1.
That's fair.
It felt like it wanted to punish you for not knowing an area yet.
Oh, really? I didn't get that.
Yeah. So, specifically with they have an undodgeable barrel that they set on fire and throw down a stairwell.
Oh, and I was gonna say undodgeable. That I've gotten past that without getting hit.
Did you dodge roll it?
I just moved out of the way.
Interesting. Like, I tried to do that and I still got clipped.
Oh, really? No. It might be. It might also be because I was playing the remastered version, which they might have patched something.
So was I.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. People say the remastered version isn't very good anyway. Overall, I don't know.
Yeah, it just felt like, with the areas, it was like you don't know this area yet. Fuck you, you die, and it's like give me a chance to learn before you punish me for not knowing an area well enough.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand that then, because, yeah, there's like, unless you watch somebody play it beforehand, you would never know about a lot of things. And then you would just die to them. Which, I had that foresight in a lot of cases, so, but not for, not for, like, a lot of things, but, because some things I would just forget about, but, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Just forcing times parry for progress is a weird game design. Yeah, I would say that in the beginning of the game, if they force a parry for a tutorial in order to teach you it, then that's fine. But later on, if they force you to parry in order to beat the game, it is like an optional mechanic of something that you are supposed to just like learn and get good with if you want to get good with it. You can just dodge out of the way of a lot of things, you know?
Was the boss that had to be parried the one that was on horseback?
I'm
asking.
While we wait for that. Isn't that how most Dark Souls games seem to play like?
No.
I wouldn't say anything other than Demon Souls and then 1. And even Demon Souls wasn't that bad, I would say.
And then there's like Bloodborne, which is on the complete other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Which is like if you walk into an area unfamiliar with it, so long as you're quick and like have your wits about you, you will still do just fine, even if you don't know the area.
Yeah,
like,
especially because of the healing mechanic.
There are no traps which rely on set pieces.
Yes. Dark Souls has a lot of ways to beat it. Sekiro has one, learn to parry. I've been beating all the Souls games leading up till Elden Ring just finished DS2. Oh, that's right, Elden Ring is coming. I forgot about that.
It is.
I haven't played a Souls game yet. I would recommend Bloodborne. Even though I haven't played it yet, but like everything about it is like really good.
Yeah.
No, oh, sorry.
As someone whose 2 favorite games on this mortal plane are Titanfall 2 and Bloodborne, play Bloodborne.
There you go. No, it's the guy who walked on all fours with Handblade. Name was something Giraffe.
Yeah, that was, I think, after I quit.
There you go. Bloodborne was so good. I should play it at some point.
I bemoaned the fact that there was no Bloodborne 2.
Yeah, well, that's why they're making Elden Ring. Because Dark Souls is more popular.
But Lovecraftian,
No, I know, dude. I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. But get fucked, I guess, us. Anyway.
But grant us eyes, though.
If only. Continuing on with the comment. So, for encumbrance and ammo tracking, it's basic arithmetic. I don't see what's so hard about it, even getting into decimals. I can't remember seeing any divisions other than 0.5. Do you mean... There's also 0.1s. Which is still not hard to deal with. I would agree, but some people don't like it. The only hard thing is the decision of what you really need to bring along to keep yourself under your encumbrance limit. And deciding how heavy of a load you're willing to take penalties for. But here's the trick for you that doesn't require any changes of the system from raw. Buy a sack. A plain run-of-the-mill sack. Anything you don't need that you wouldn't be willing to leave behind if you had to run away goes in the sack. And try to keep your essential items under your light load limit. Now, if you get into combat or you need to roll a check that you don't want a penalty on, put the sack on the ground. Congratulations, you're now carrying a light load. That said, I actually do like systems that use bulk. My reason has nothing to do with weight being overly complex. My issue is the fact that raw, someone with enough strength could carry 100 pounds of styrofoam around and still fight unencumbered. That and the fact that the sack I just mentioned has no defined limit on how much space it has to hold things, or how much space any given thing would take up. No, that's not true. Maybe for sacks, but I know... At least for backpacks, you could look it up and see the actual limits of the backpack. Like, of how much it could carry in 3.5, because I know you're familiar with that. I'm pretty sure about that. But anyway. I'll stick with games like Dishonored and Prey. Yeah, absolutely. If you're not into Souls-like games, then you're fine. Like, there's no need to, if you don't care. Like... You know, it's one of those things. You don't want to play it, don't play it. Just watch somebody else play it if you have any interest whatsoever. You know?
Yeah.
This is the best part of the life. You just don't have to do things you don't want to most of the time.
literally Dishonored and Prey are like one of my favorite types of games because they present an obstacle, which is guards or enemies, whatever. And then your answer to that problem can be one of numerous ways to get around.
Absolutely. I kind of regret having picked having powers in Dishonored 2. Because I started as what's her face? Emily?
Oh, Emily, yes.
I started as Emily because I was like, I've played Corvo before, fuck it, let's try Emily. And then it was like, oh, choose powers or no. And I was immediately like, oh, I like that I cannot get powers. And then I was like, but I also like powers. So I took powers, and then I was like, but if I don't use powers, though, it'd be so much cooler. But then I was playing, so, oh well.
But Eldritch Might, though.
Yeah, exactly. I have this tentacle thing, and it makes me go far. Personally, I would like a system that accounts for both weight and bulk, but I suppose, other than myself, that's a compromise that would make nobody happy. Of the two, kind of feel like bulk is a little bit more useful. Also, my memories of Resident Evil 4 are pretty vague, but I do remember the fun little exercise of adding components to my tank in Valkyria Chronicles. That was a good time. I remember playing that a little bit, and it was a lot of fun, and I should play that more, but I don't...
Isn't that game really weeby?
Yes!
Okay. I wanted to make sure I was thinking of the right one.
Yup! It's pretty fun. I liked it because it was like a third-person tactical game where you controlled every unit in third person, but it was turn-based as well. So I had a nice time with it. I should really get back to it. I never finished it. Speaking of Dishonored, Deathloop has been getting some perfect scores. I saw that was on the store page, and I know nothing about it. I never heard anything whatsoever. So maybe it's good. I don't know. Okay. Well, that last question would be hard for me to answer. My least favorite role would have to be one where I failed and nothing memorable came of it. So obviously, whatever that was, I don't remember. My least favorite experience would have to be the DM that told me to change my character's gender to match my own, but I've already talked about that. I'd also have to reach a bit to tell you what my favorite role was. The answer I'd probably go with is also a story I've mentioned before. It wasn't my favorite because of the immediate result, but because of the dramatic tension in the aftermath. Basically, my character failed to save against domination from a mind flayer, which then escaped from the battle. The way the DM then ran it was to say that domination creates a mental link between the caster and the victim, compelling the victim to follow any command the caster communicates to them, but leaving the victim free to interpret the language of that command for themselves. So my character spent the rest of that part of the campaign finding ways to technically follow the Mind Flayer's commands, while undermining the actual intent in whatever way she could. So that turned out pretty good, turned into a pretty good mental workout. The only downside is that it almost corrupted the exquisite smoothness on the surface of my brain with a horrible wrinkle. Almost.
Oh, you were almost made imperfect.
All right. Well, that was comments. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. So, that being said, excuse me. Goodness. Let us move on to today's topics. So, I was browsing stuff, and I couldn't find two things that went together, or at least my brain was like, eh. So, I found two videos, one from a channel we hadn't covered yet at all, and one from Coville. So, we'll start with the one that we have not covered ever before. If you would like to, could you?
Oh, yes.
Get into the watch together, my friend.
You know, my boss don't tell me what to do.
Well, that's true, I guess. Hey, Pizza Funk, how's it going?
Oh.
All right. Well, while he comes up with a name, because I know that's what he's doing.
No.
Let me close out of a couple of things that way. Wait, Colville's super fan. Nice one.
Oh no, you know what?
Okay. What? I'm excited. I'm excited to see the simp for Colville. Even better. Yes. Use that terminology that they ban on Twitch. Hilarious.
Well, yeah, sure is.
I don't know why the fuck. Yeah.
Sure sucks for Twitch because we're not on it.
Exactly, dude. So dumb. God, that place is so toxic, and yet I stream to it.
One more reason why YouTube streaming is better, you can say simp.
Yeah. It's interesting, actually. Apparently, a lot of Twitch streamers are getting out of their contracts and are going to be moving to YouTube.
Sick, really?
Yeah, actually.
Fantastic, dude.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's gonna make everything even more monopolized. I love it.
Yeah. Goville just started putting his 4E game on his YouTube channel. Oh, really? I didn't know he was doing it. That's cool. Okay. So this is Play Your Role. And they made a video called "What Do Character Arcs Look Like in Dungeons and Dragons?" And I listened to like a couple minutes of it, and I thought it was interesting what they were saying, and so I was like, fuck it, let's listen to it and see what they have to say. So let's do it.
You know, I often find D&D a very interesting exercise in storytelling, because it is so clearly a storytelling device as are most tabletop games, and yet it's so vastly different from any other form of storytelling. No other form of storytelling do you have a group of people creating a narrative together where one of them is helming it and the rest are experiencing it and creating it together. The closest thing you have are improv classes, and let's be honest, most improv is usually comedy-based. Not all of it, but most of it. And I love studying literature and writing and storytelling and the very art form that it is, and Dungeons & Dragons, tabletop games, that entire spectrum confounds and confuses me. Which might sound kind of weird, right? Like I've literally made an entire channel talking about storytelling in Dungeons & Dragons, but there's a reason for that. I find the best way for me to learn is to talk about something, because if I talk about it, I am encouraged and forced to go ahead and go experience it and research it more.
Well, you are, and I'm glad you are. Not a lot of people are. Some people just say things, and then continue to just say things. It's a problem.
It's unfortunately why we made our channel.
Good stuff.
The reason I made this channel and wanted to talk about storytelling in D&D is because I find it so fascinating and a very different topic that I don't really know that much about. The more I learn, the more I know that I don't know. But why is it so weird and different? Well, the simple fact of the matter is that there are a lot of literary concepts that are very based in reality that just don't apply to D&D in the same way. For example, the topic of today's discussion, character arcs. Character arcs are interesting because they're basically the outline of how a character grows or changes over the course of a story. Or vice versa, how they change in a negative fashion. But it's how a character develops over the course of a story, and honestly, without character arcs, literature, or storytelling in general, would not be that interesting. After all, why do we watch stories? To see something change, to see how the story develops and what it does to change those around it or in it. And usually character arcs are planned out with definitive points of where you can see characters change through their choices and actions. Dungeons & Dragons, however, does not have planned out character arcs. Everything is improv, nothing is planned, so how does that work in this sort of storytelling format? Well, welcome to today's topic.
What is your contention?
Contention was the word I was thinking of. So it is true that some character arcs can be improv, yes. However, for things such as like NPCs,
I think
character arcs may be more planned, or even some players.
Yeah, that is true. It really does depend on the game, obviously, but
yeah,
it also depends on if things go the way the player wants them to. You know, where something might happen that goes completely differently than they felt that it would change their character, and so they have to think about how their character is going to change because of that, or if they will even. you know. But I agree that there are some cases where you can totally have this happen scripted, you know what I mean? In such a way that is scripted.
A run-in with a character that killed your character's mother, for instance.
Yeah. Like, so I can obviously come up with different ways that could go and how that could change somebody. Maybe they kill them and then they, like, are done with their revenge and they're good. Or maybe they kill them and then they find that their bloodlust is not satiated, right? And then it becomes a bit more of a darker path that they have gone upon, where they now kill anybody who slights them or anybody else. Hello, Boo.
Yeah. Hello. And while something like that would be a character arc that is very much improv, you can have, like, if over the course of your campaign the whole story also hello, Boo. Yeah. If over the entire course of your campaign it leads to the idea of, I'm looking for this person so I can kill them.
Yeah.
Like, that's less improv. Like, you can know how a character will evolve over time.
Yeah.
You don't have to improv it, is I guess my point.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a case for both. But I would say a majority of the time that everything is pretty much subject to change, you know?
I agree with everything you've said thus far.
Good. I'm glad, because we're right. Both of us.
Yes.
By the way, I don't mean to kind of derail it, but did you hear what Critical Role did?
Yeah. They copyrighted their catchphrase.
Oh, yeah.
Which I assume, at least from the outside, not looking into it at all, is that it's more for merchandising.
Yeah, I fucking hope so.
Well, because I
know that Brogan actually linked me one of the, like, a legal statement about that.
I can't see them ever pursuing somebody for going on their own show and saying it, you know, and like, because, like, that would just be scummy and they would lose so many people. God, it would be like a horrible disaster.
The thing is, I imagine that it is not Matt doing it. I can't imagine that Matt would do anything like that. It's most likely like their marketing or their legal department doing it.
Yeah, something.
Literally, so there's a few things at play here. The first of which is Matt Mercer isn't going to hunt down. Hold on. Yeah. First off, I have to explain something as if, like, you guys don't already know some of my own opinions and takes on this, so that I can explain it to the audience. So I'm going to explain stuff that you may already know. Just bear with me.
Yes.
So Matt Mercer isn't going to hunt down people in their home games for saying, how do you want to do this? Clearly not. It is literally, as Alejo said, for merch. So they can sell how do you want to do this t-shirt, which I'm pretty sure I've already seen.
Right.
Really?
Probably.
Huh.
Yeah, and stuff like, oh, well, it's the legal document makes it seem very aggressive and very like they are gonna hunt people down.
They're not Games Workshop.
Exactly. Like that. It seems aggressive just because they are reserving the right to legal action if, like, they perceive it as necessary. And there might be some niche scenario where they do have to pursue legal action, and this legal document being aggressive will play into their advantage.
Exactly.
Yes, it's true.
It's not aggressive because Matt Mercer wants to chop off your hands.
Right.
It's aggressive so they can sell a shirt, and also if someone decides to do something shady.
Right, exactly. Like, it is so obvious that it is for that purpose only, and if there are people who are actually, like, getting weirded out and up in arms about it, like, then it's like, what the think for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, because I'll be honest, when Brogan told me initially, I was because basically they've copyrighted all of their like intellectual properties, like their the world that the games were that
makes
they played
total
were
sense.
set, the Mighty Nine,
and
the other group, I forget their name.
Vox Machina.
And
thank you.
Vox Machina, yeah, that's it. So they copyrighted those characters. And then he was like, they also copyrighted how do you want to do this? And I'm like, can you even copyright a common phrase? And that's what I was weirded out by. It's like, and again, I knew it wasn't Matt.
Yeah.
I knew it was like a legal department, but it's just weird that you can copyright that kind of a phrase because I didn't realize it was their slogan.
Hey, Boo.
Yes.
I'm loving it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. But again, I didn't realize that how do you want to do this was their slogan because I don't watch Critical Role very much.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a phrase that they said all the time.
It's a phrase Matt says every time while arching his eyebrow and looking into the camera.
Exactly. Right.
And
fair enough.
And the entire Twitch chat goes,
okay.
But this is the thing. It didn't start out that way. It was just a thing that he said, right?
Yeah.
And It is just his way of saying the thing that everyone says, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And just because he says it a lot, it became popularized. So now it's like one of those things that literally everyone says, right? And so, and at the same time, I literally just go, oh, usually what I say is, how do you want to kill the monster? Like, how the fuck do you want to destroy this guy in front of you in this scenario, you know?
I usually say, tell me what you want to do.
Right. Yeah, there are many ways to do it, but
guess what? Now we can't say the other thing.
Right.
And I'm offended by that now.
Well, so, and again, it is strictly for a merch purpose. Like, again, if they even try to go after somebody on, like, a live stream that's, like, saying it, then I would love to see that, because it would be hilarious, the backlash.
Yes.
Oh, God. I would fucking laugh my fucking ass to the bank. Like, jeez.
Yeah, it'd be a real shit show.
But,
well, technically, Matt Mercer would be the one laughing his ass to the bank.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But then I would be laughing because of all the damage control that they'd have to do, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, but not to the bank.
Not to the bank, no, it's true. I would be laughing to the poorhouse because they would be suing me, obviously. But anyway, Dracula Kraken says, I think it would be more correct to say that D&D arcs aren't improved, but instead moments of potential character change are presented. Plan the test of character, but let the player pick the result. Sure, yeah.
Works.
I think that there is an appeal to the idea of vast, intricate, pre-planned arc for a character. In the actual game, the best arcs come as an emergent result of good roleplay. Also true, I would say. How do you want to do this? Seems kind of generic for a trademark. I wonder if that would stand up in court. It already has. That's the thing.
Yeah, it already has.
They've already
because it has been copywritten.
See, this isn't the same as fucking Sony trying to copyright Let's Play. Oh, they tried to do that long ago. Yeah, I will never let that go.
I didn't hear that. Oh my God.
It's been a long time since, but I will never let it go.
I'm fucking.
It's not like GW trying to fucking get Space Marine or Halberd, right?
Or
like we were just talking about this the other day. Like,
and actually, if I remember correctly, there was somebody that tried to fucking copyright the word air.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all. This is the thing.
Sky. It was Sky. That's it. It was Sky.
That's stupid. So like and like you say, it would be like trademarking awesome, but I wouldn't put it that like at the same time. Oh, there it is. Do you remember that Sky TV has a trademark on the word sky?
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. There it is.
God
damn it.
but legitimately, I don't think it's the same thing for how do you want to do this, because again, that's a very specific phrase.
Yes.
Like very specific. Just because everybody uses it all the time is just because of Critical Role, I would say.
Yeah, that's true.
The exact wording like that. Everything else is like I said, we have like several different ways that we say it, you know, but it means the same thing. It's just that ours isn't copywritten because we haven't gotten our legal team on that yet. Hello, I am the legal team.
Yes.
But
you're the everything team.
Yup. One day, maybe I won't be as much of the everything team. Maybe. We'll see. Someday
that would require money.
That would require money. No. Someday, 1,000 years from now, all of human language would be trademarked. In which case, just add a TM after every word I just typed. Fair.
I like it. It's true.
I wonder if how do you want to do this is so widely used might fall into public domain if someone wanted to fight it. No. You couldn't like I don't think there's a way to gauge that. You would have to poll everyone.
Yeah.
You know? Like and you couldn't legally I don't know if you could legally fight it in that kind of respect. I don't know. I'm not a legalisman, you know?
It would be comparable to saying I'm loving it fell into public domain because it's an expression of saying that you like something.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, legalology aside, let's continue.
Today we're going to talk about arcs, how to handle them, and what you do with them in Dungeons & Dragons. So let's talk about that.
I appreciate your big band.
Now, like stated earlier, character arcs typically have planned out points where the characters are going to make certain decisions that show how they are growing or regressing, depending on your positive or negative character arc. And for the uninitiated, a character arc is essentially how a character grows and progresses or changes over the course of an entire story. Usually, this is culminated in a single choice. A choice the character was unable to make or made the wrong decision when confronted with, and at the end of the story, they will make the right choice. Now that's a very huge simplification of it, but it's a general idea of what a character arc is. And you can immediately see why this is sort of a problem in D&D because it's all improv and nobody actually knows where the story is going to go. What if they're not presented with that choice?
And then if you're Batman v Superman or Game of Thrones Season 8, you have the reverse character arc, also known as a character assassination.
Thank you. Yes, that's the correct term.
Yeah. You lead into conflict the whole movie and then have it go away when someone says Martha.
How did he know the name? How did he know it?
How did he know it?
Why did he say that name? Why did he?
Yeah, that's it.
I've still not seen that movie, but God, I need to.
It's really funny. That's a
now,
maybe we'll do it for a thing later, you know.
Oh, so, for a
dismal or
depictions.
Dreadful depiction, I believe is what I don't know. It's been so long since we've done it, but
yeah. I was gonna ask how you guys felt about a particular scene in that movie, but we're doing something else.
No, ask.
Oh, okay. What do you guys think of the scene where he snaps Zod's neck? Spoilers.
Oh, in Man of Steel.
Oh, that's Man of Steel. My bad.
I think it's the correct decision in the situation. Though the situation itself could be resolved in many different ways before that, and also he could have put his hand in front of it, and also there's a lot of other things. He's very strong, and it seems like there's so many things that I could then go into, but at that point it's like, okay, sure, fuck it. At this point, you've already destroyed Superman. Like, why should I care?
Oh, really? Was that one really bad?
Yes.
Oh, that's
yes. It's so people think it's good.
I never watched it, dude. I don't fucking watch movies.
That's you know what? That's fair. But even so,
I've seen neither of these.
Well,
yeah,
I've seen it.
Depictions.
See see, Aiden, you have a problem when you. I mean, Alejo. I'm sorry, not Aiden.
Yeah.
When it's like, man, I hate this movie. You see too many movies today.
No, no. That's not
because it's like, man, I know this new Star Wars is gonna be shit. Let's go watch it anyway.
Oh no, I haven't watched a single one. I haven't given them my time.
Oh wait, you didn't watch them? Oh,
no,
okay. You just heard about what? Oh, okay.
No, I've watched many videos on them.
Okay.
So I've basically watched all the movies.
Yes.
Because they go scene by scene.
Exactly. Okay, never mind. Because I thought you were like, man, I hate this new Star Wars movie. Let's go see it.
No,
you know?
God, no. I've not. Oh,
That's
God,
me.
That's
Aiden.
You. That is Aiden. Yeah, we've different. I might do it if there's a way for me to see it in some other way, but you know.
When I have friends at work that are talking about how bad a scene or something in particular is, I go, "Oh my god, we need to see it this Thursday."
I see.
Fair.
Okay.
There is no Game of Thrones season 8. You know, we wish.
Never happened.
Wonder Woman is the best thing in BVS because she didn't like. Okay, so yes, because before Wonder Woman and all of those movies came out, she wasn't ruined. She was just there. But also, like, she was just there. What, you know. And then the only thing I heard about season 8 was when they left Starbucks in the shot. Oh, there's so much more that's wrong with it.
Oh yeah. If told me all about
If only it was that.
You want to talk about character arcs? Let's talk about how the whole of the show talks about how Jamie is like growing beyond Cersei and learning to leave her in his past.
Yeah.
And then he says Cersei is hateful and so am I in Game of Thrones season 8 in the face of the woman who he just slept with.
Yeah.
And then he runs back to her and thank God they both die.
Oh, thank fucking hell. Yeah, it's not good.
That's why I don't watch TV or movies. I just play video games and RPGs.
Oh, I can complain about video games.
Better written shit.
I can complain about a bunch of video games if you want to. I mean,
making Game of Thrones season 8 your standard for TV is like making Bad Rats your standard for games.
True. Well, okay, you know what? I
Rats.
actually do watch a fair amount of TV if you guys would count anime as TV because it is a TV show.
Yeah, I kind of
because it's a TV show. It comes out once a week and has seasons.
Yeah, no, it would be. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
I just watch Half in the Bag on Red Letter Media to get my DC movies. That is fair.
Wow.
Though they also think that some of them are good, which none of them are. But okay.
I thought the Wonder Woman movie was pretty good.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
It was pretty good for the first half, from what I hear.
Oh.
It's
and I heard that 1884 or
1984
was the bad one.
Oh, it's real bad. Oh, it's so much worse. I could say many things about it, but I won't. What do you think of The Mandalorian? I don't like it. Anyway.
Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda, though. Sure, Baby Yoda's a visual aesthetic. I don't care.
Yeah, right.
And also, he
it's a
eats
good way
children.
to sell toys.
He also eats children, and it's played for laughs. So you know.
Really?
Yeah, he eats some baby eggs. You know.
Whoa.
To be fair, that's like saying that if you eat chicken eggs, you eat chicks.
These were alive, quote unquote, and they
Never mind.
Like in the sense of like they are being transported in order for them to spawn on another planet, like that with the mother present.
Caviar.
With the mother present.
Oh shit.
Yep. Anyway, Mando doesn't do shit about it. It's fine.
No worse. To be fair, that's no worse than like most like take for any bird, like crows, for instance. Crows don't care if an egg has been fertilized.
Sure. But this is, I don't know. The difference is these are living, breathing, thinking, sentient, sentient's the same thing, but anthropomorphic fucking things. Like they're all like alive and sentient, you know?
Oh, so they're like harpies.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is literally like he is just eating a person egg.
Shit.
I had been just of the opinion that by quote unquote living you meant that they were viable.
Oh, gotcha. No. They're literally people.
They people.
Like baby people. They are a people. Yeah. Anyway,
I love it.
It's like funny because it's so horrible.
Yeah.
But it's also no one does anything about it and neither is it ever brought up. Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm playing The Division 2 and I just died. Anyway.
That's fine. Wasn't season 8 made without any book to go off of? Yes.
Yes.
Who's ready for pay-to-win tabletops? Wonder Woman was good. 1984 sucked. No.
Pay to win tabletops. You mean Warhammer and Space Marines?
Yeah. Tabletops. You mean tabletops?
Yeah. They passed the books during season 5. Yes, Baby Yoda was hungry. Oh yeah, he was.
He wasn't.
I thought 8 was the only season without a book. If that's the case, I wonder what happened between season 7 and 8 for them to mess up so bad. Oh, they stopped caring because they got Star Wars as a deal.
Yes.
They stopped giving a shit, so they were just like, no, we're gonna move on to Star Wars. It's gonna make so much money.
Dude, even in the earlier seasons when they did have books to go off of, they left the characters up largely to their actors.
Yep.
Like Bobby B, for instance. Start the damn tournament before I piss myself, Bobby B. Thank the gods for Bess and her titties, Bobby B. That's primarily largely character ad-lib.
That's great. That's fantastic character ad-lib then.
Yeah, no, like the character, like you watch character 1 and you're like, oh my god, this is such great characterization. It was literally the actors and actresses.
That's funny. And then they dropped Star Wars, and then fucking Disney dropped them because they fucked up so bad and everyone knows it. And no matter what anyone says, like, they will not work with them because, excuse me, you just destroyed, like, the most watched thing ever. What do you think? You're gonna get a job after that with something so big as Star Wars?
It's so good that Disney will actually put their foot down and be like, yeah, we're not working with you.
Well, that's...
Sometimes.
I was gonna say, in that case, yes.
Yes, sometimes. Because, I mean, hey, they were coming down, like, really hard on EA after Battlefront. I remember that.
Sure.
Yeah. They were like, you guys need to stop fucking around and do this right. Otherwise, you're not getting to keep
the only reason why
license.
they do that is because of all the backlash. That's the thing. They're not preventative. They're just responsive, and that's that.
I know, but I mean, the thing is, nowadays that's better than nothing.
Yeah,
because oftentimes you get nothing. Don't give a shit.
Go figure that taking a shotgun to the neck of like one of the world's most beloved series is a great way to get fired from your other job involving one of the world's most beloved series.
Right? Yeah. Crazy.
Oh my god.
We're on a diatribe already, so I have one more thing that I want to say, and it's this stupid fucking argument that I've heard from people who were like defending season 8 that were like, oh, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. And I'm like,
no,
okay,
fuck you.
So fuck you. First off, like, yes, I don't have to watch it, but you don't understand. At that point, you're so invested in such a thing. Yeah. Why wouldn't you watch it? I don't understand how you can look at me and say, oh, you watched all 7 seasons? Well, if you don't like season 8 and you're not liking how it's going, don't watch it. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
That's something, like, I've actually had something similar to that happen to me when I was younger. I didn't know how to word it then, but I know how to word it now. They, in Tales of Symphonia, one of my favorite games of all time, they made a sequel to it, Tales of Symphonia 2. And they were not able to get all of the voice actors back. In fact, they were only able to get 2 for the main cast of the first game. And my favorite character, Zelos Wilder, didn't get his voice back. And the whole time, like, man, he fucking sounds different. It's so weird. Like, this isn't the character that I fucking adore. And my brother was like, it's still him. Who cares what his voice is? And I'm like,
so
you weren't invested in the character. It is, I don't know.
And so it really depends, because if the writing is still the same and he still acts the same.
I don't know, man, because it feels different. Imagine if I came on here and I had a completely different voice. It'd be fucking weird. It wasn't me doing my Skaven voice now and then. It was literally just,
I understand that entirely, because, like, it's just one of those things where there is a certain degree where I would go, yes, there is a lot of things that are different here that are to such an extent that I would not like it. But then again, I don't care for Symphonia.
Exactly.
So, like, it's one of those things where I can't I can't see it. But if you're super into it, then I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess I can see it.
Because I played the shit out of that game.
Yeah. Okay, clear something up for me then.
Yes.
Can you move side to side in the first game? Or do you just go back and forth? Yeah, do you just go towards the enemy and backwards?
You only go forward and back.
I fucking hate that. Oh god, I hate that so much.
Yeah,
okay.
Tales of the Abyss when they started doing free running. That was the one you wanted to start with.
Okay, yeah, I fucking hate Symphonia's combat so much. Okay.
That's fair.
All right. Well, okay.
Now there are ways to move around in different things, but it mostly involves using attacks that go through enemies. Fuck, I'm dead.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Anyway, speaking of things that RLM hated, I was greatly entertained by the rants of Picard, much more entertained than I would have been by Picard itself. It's some kind of therapy for wronged fans. I agree. Fuck Picard. God, it's so bad. Ugh. As somebody who fucking loves The Next Generation, it is one of my favorite series of all time. It is so timeless to me. It asks so many good philosophical questions and like tries to delve into the answers of them, and it gets to it like it just makes my brain go yum, give me more. You know.
I didn't watch any. I'm not a big Star Wars fan.
Star Trek.
Damn it! I wanted to get you with that.
Nope.
But yeah, no, I never actually watched Star Trek. Although the episodes that I have seen, fucking really good.
Oh, if you see Measure of a Man, if you ever get the time to watch one Star Trek Next Generation episode, Measure of a Man, I believe that's the one where it is about basically human rights.
Oh shit! Okay.
But for androids.
Okay.
It is one of the best episodes, I would say, in general of Star Trek.
Fucking, you know what?
Hands down.
You know what, Alejo? I have never seen an episode of Star Trek in my entire life. I quarter watched a movie.
Of original or of new?
I don't fucking know.
Cool. Because I'm sorry if new.
I think it's new.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Does not represent Star Trek very well.
I was at a drive-in with some friends and watched it for like 5 minutes, and I was like, "This is stupid," and then just kind of pulled out my phone.
That was probably the new ones.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But if you can provide me with a link,
it's on Netflix.
All right, Measure of a Man, you said.
I believe it's. I will double check right now, but yes, I believe that is the case. Let me look up the episode list.
I was gonna say, if you can do your best to source me, I will do my best to watch it.
Oh, absolutely. I will fucking send you a link to like after the show. Absolutely.
Isn't it now?
Okay. Yeah, the Measure of a Man. The 9th episode of the 2nd season.
Damn, it's pretty early.
Yeah, so the first season
episode,
is a little weird because they're trying to figure out what they're gonna do after original Star Trek.
Yeah.
And original Star Trek was very much more adventure, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot more adventure, a lot more campy.
Yeah, it was Captain Kirk, right? Like it was, and they were trying to make Picard kind of like Captain Kirk for a little bit in the sense of just like we'll have some adventure and stuff. It was more of the other characters, but and then in season 2, that's when they really got their footing of like the actual philosophy. Like they still had questions and shit, but anyway.
Let's get back to RPGs and character arcs.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. Let me just read a couple more things here. Well, they couldn't get the OG voice actors for Battle for Bikini Bottom. That game slaps. They couldn't?
Oh,
really?
Well, that's good.
Oh, weird. God, the just don't watch that season argument reminds me of the people who say, well, in my head canon. Yep, same kind of thing.
See, now, I actually have one example where I have used a headcanon before.
Sure.
And that was when I watched an anime that I really liked, that they never completed.
Oh, sure.
There's nothing else to go on other than the manga, and I'm not I'm not a manga reader.
That's fair. Well, to be fair, Boo do got a good voice. That's true.
That's fine. Honestly, you know what? Now that you fucking say that, I have listened to some of our shit, like played back. I sound like a fucking asshole sometimes.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know. Yeah.
Like I didn't.
We all do sometimes.
Like I don't intend it at all, but man, I sound like a fucking dickhead sometimes, and I feel bad. I was like, man, do I really sound like that?
Whatever.
I sound like a shitter.
We're all shitters, though.
We are, but like, I'm not supposed. I'm not.
But I'm not.
Yeah, you.
Be.
Yeah, you are.
I'm the shitterest of all of us. Honestly.
Slay says, "Boo, did you get Tales of Arise?"
No, I'm going to. Don't spoil anything, please.
Yep.
I just don't like. I'm not feeling JRPGs at the moment.
Yeah. What's worse, the new Star Wars, the latest Star Trek? For me, it would be Star Trek because I care about that more. Star Wars, I don't give a shit. I just care about the writing. Yeah, not anymore, at least. Both are equally good in how bad they are.
I like that.
I love a lot of episodes of TNG, but I think my single favorite is Cause and Effect, which I definitely will not spoil for anyone who has not seen it. Cause and Effect, which one was that one? I need to know now. Give me a second.
Fuck me. Woo!
I don't know too many of the names of them, you know, but let's see. Oh, that one. Okay. Yeah, no, that one's all right.
That means he doesn't like it.
No, I like it. It's just it's getting later into the seasons where I think it feels like they're getting a little tired. In the sense of like the actors, I feel like they're getting a little tired.
He's telling you why he doesn't like it.
No, I like it still. That's the thing. Even the not great episodes. No, even
Hush. Hush, Alejo, I am speaking for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There are some not great episodes of TNG, I will admit, but that is not one of the ones that is not great.
Yeah, because it's like any show. It's never going to be perfect all the way through.
Absolutely. There's a lot of gems. Anyway. My favorite Star Trek episode is Way of the Warrior on DS9. I still have to finish DS9. I'm so bad at watching things. Last season
my favorite episode of Gintama is episode 23. Or one of them, anyway.
Last season of Babylon 5 kind of counts as somewhat missable. I've never watched Babylon 5. I don't know about Battle for...
Oh, right. Sorry, I was thinking chemistry missable, which means something will like
it's something way different.
Yeah, MISCIBLE, and I was majorly confused by a second. I'm like, how can an episode be missable?
Yeah,
like in solution, what kind of solution?
Yeah, and actually, you know what, Aiden? Now that you mentioned that, there were rules in first edition for potion missability when you drink multiple.
Oh my god!
And there's a rule like if you roll a D100, you get a 1, and you fucking explode.
That's right. That's true.
It's fucking great.
I don't know about Battle for Bikini Bottom remake, but the OG had Mr. Crack and not Mr. Krabs. Nice. Didn't they also mess up Doctor Who? Yes. It was definitely weird things in space rather than issues of philosophy and morality. Yeah, I'm more of the issues of philosophy and morality in TNG, honestly. Like,
but banging alien chicks, though.
So no, that's not. No, that's true.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Riker
happens a lot.
Yeah, Riker does do that a lot. Riker is kind of...
actually, I meant Kirk doing that.
Kirk did that a lot. No, in the original, I'm talking about TNG.
Yeah. With
TNG stuff, it was definitely like Riker was more of the Kirk stand-in.
The fuck boy.
Yeah. Babylon 5 was one of the greatest TV shows ever. I've yet to watch it, but maybe I'll watch it at some point when I get to everything. Okay, let's continue. It's been a while.
What if they are presented with the choice but the dice say otherwise? Or what if they make a choice but then the character decides nope because the player didn't like that idea, etc., etc. Ultimately, tabletop games are just a totally different beast in general when it comes to actual storytelling, because the simple fact of the matter is, in all other forms of storytelling, somebody has carefully crafted the narrative. In Dungeons & Dragons, it is all improv and every single player at the table has input on where the story is going to go.
So again, like we've already said it, but there is some things in your D&D game that are going to be carefully crafted.
Yes.
I mean, that's just obvious. But
Tharnanar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fucking great fucking thing.
Yes.
But even so, like a majority of the time I'll agree with you, but you can't just say all the time. I don't know.
Yeah,
man.
no, absolutely not. Even I'll say that.
Yeah.
You can't plan things out.
Sorry, go on.
Well, what I was going to say is even something that you design on purpose, like a trap or something like that, I never design a trap with the way to get through it.
Right.
I just say, this is here, and let you guys fucking go.
Yeah, exactly.
It's designed, in fact, to have no way around it. It's a trap.
Yeah, because like I'm gonna design that trap as if I'm the person making that trap. I don't want people to get in.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm gonna send you guys home with nothing, but you're gonna fucking get through it. You know you are, and I know you are too.
Yeah. Story is going to go, so you can't plan things out as much as you want to. So ultimately, you should just ignore character arcs, right?
Can't plan things
well, no.
out
I think what he's saying right now, he's being facetious.
I hope so.
Yeah.
They're not that important. I actually don't agree with that sentiment, and that's why I wanted to make this video. See, I noticed
so he was saying that
all of my...
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
He was saying that as if he was someone else was saying that to him.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
And that's why I wanted to make this video. See, I noticed something when looking at all of my previous PCs, and more importantly, the PCs, or player characters, that my players have brought to the table. See, every single one of them has a vice, a problem. Something in their life that they know is negatively affecting them, but they're unable to overcome. And if you look at it really closely, you can start to notice parallels in the vice that their character has, and problems that they face in their own life. And this isn't surprising or a dig at any of my players, it's just facts. When we write what we know. When we storytell, we tell what we've already experienced. So of course we would put that in our characters. I mean, ultimately, you always put a piece of yourself in your character. I made a video on that. Link in the description if you want to go watch it. But it's not a bash on anybody, it's a simple fact of the matter. And when we play D&D, the point of playing Dungeons & Dragons is to experience a different reality where we are capable of different...
Why can I not pause?
You did already.
Oh, the video is still playing for me. Oh, there we go. Now it's paused.
Okay.
If you think that a dig at your players is that they're flawed, then I would argue that that is not a dig. That's them being part of like the human condition.
Sorry, is that what he said?
No, it's not that. He was saying that like
No, he was saying that he does not think that making a flawed character is bad.
Oh,
effectively.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And then what Aiden was saying, if you think that
right. Sorry.
In general.
Okay.
So you're good.
I am siding with him in speaking against the imaginary audience.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry, Aiden. I'm speaking for you.
Thank you.
This time.
I appreciate it. I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, is that all you were gonna say?
Yeah, no, that was it.
Sorry. Okay, cool.
Those experiences I find almost every player wants, whether they realize it or not, is to be able to overcome or at least face that vice. And let me make it clear, not every single one of them wants to overcome it. I've had players with critical character flaws that they've had to overcome day in and day out in their life.
Cool, it's still paused for me.
Okay.
Reload your page.
You might want to reload, yeah.
Yeah, Destiny 2 just shat the bed too, so...
Oh, you are also playing games.
I always count on you guys to play video games while we're doing the podcast.
I'm actually not usually, but I'm on a deadline tonight, man.
Fine.
I wanna play some game and I wanna watch some anime.
Okay, well,
and I gotta do this at the same time
I
because I can't watch anime.
I understand. I think most of the crafted stuff is more on the GM side, and it's up to the players on how to react. Yes,
absolutely.
Though I will say that you as a player can craft how you want your character to go from the beginning if you want. But if during that time something could change and make you go, well, actually, I think the character should go this way.
Yeah. That's always not always. That's usually how I make my characters.
Mm-hmm.
I usually have some kind of thing that I want to do and that I hope to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then, depending on what actually happens in the campaign, that will either change or happen.
Right.
And look at that, Discord shits the bed on Q.
I saw that.
Yeah.
At least it came back pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because I'm leaving pretty quick again.
Oh, well. Players can talk to the GM about character arcs and goals and stuff, but very few RPGs actually make arcs part of the rules of play. Oh yeah, there's no rule to an arc.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any RPG that does that. If there is, like, having it as a rule, that's weird to me.
Yeah, that'd be fucking weird.
Yeah.
Because that's not something you can control that easily.
Unless there are rules for it that are actually good. And even then, it'd be weird.
To be fair,
probably
Alejo,
a thing. Yeah.
You saying that's not something you can control that easily, that's him, or I'm currently unsure as to what your opinion on the video thus far is, but that's exactly what he's saying, because character arcs can be very easily, like, jotted down on a piece of paper in most other forms of media, but this is the one media where your arc is a bit tenuous.
Yeah,
the fate of the dice.
What I'm trying to say with what I'm saying there is that with a rule set, it's not something that can be controlled that easily, because not everything fits into that rule set. Whereas I've already expressed for arcs themselves, like, you can, as a player, as a GM, you know, you can absolutely have plot points or points of arcs in your character that you have planned out. I don't think a rule set itself will, when they're making their rule, account for everything, you know, as easily. So I don't think it's that easy to control in that respect.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That vice. And let me make it clear.
Is it playing for you?
Yes.
Good.
Okay. Not every single one of them wants to overcome it. I've had players with crucial, critical character flaws that they have had to overcome day in and day out in their life. And in D&D, they just wanted to be able to experience what it was like to give in to that. To be able to experience just accepting that part of yourself. And that led to a negative character arc and a really interesting story. And it's not wrong of them to do that. The point of D&D is to tell an interesting story, not a story where everybody gets a happy ending. If it was always a story where everyone got a happy ending, character death wouldn't be possible, and the dice wouldn't even be there. But it becomes really difficult to be able to tell that story and that character arc because of the random chance of the dice. But I firmly believe that finding those character arcs that your players are trying to have their characters go through, whether they realize it or not, is a huge part of creating a compelling narrative and a story that lasts in their mind, while also, and most importantly, making it a fulfilling experience. But if I've already spent all this time talking about how difficult it is to tell a character arc in D&D, what do? Well, here we go. What I do, and yes, this is just my personal opinion and methods, but what I do is I try to identify very quickly the vice that my players have put in their characters. And this is usually pretty easy. For most DMs, just go look at the flaws part of their character sheet. They've usually put something there. Not every player does this, and not every table uses it, but a lot of them do, and this is a great first step. If they haven't done that, however, you can either ask the players, or wait for what I like to call the moment. Every player I personally have ever seen at my tables, even the most min-maxing characters, will at one point decide to make a decision that is clearly the wrong decision. They will do something they know leads to negative consequences. When they do that, they are showing very clearly what the vice their character has. For example, I have a player in one of my campaigns who likes to go out of his way to make sure that he has an incredibly unique and potent build. Despite this, however, he constantly makes decisions that is obviously detrimental to his character. Touching a cursed sword, going in the wrong direction, talking to somebody who's clearly lying to him, etc. It becomes very obvious what this player is trying to do. He wants his character to have a weakness in their ability to be able to perceive danger. Inquisitive to the point of being dangerous to themselves. Now, is this a vice particularly in the player as well? Well, I don't know. They might have an issue of being too curious, or maybe they're just wanting to experience what it's like if they don't have the inhibitions they currently have. But clearly there is something within themselves that they wanted to explore by putting this weakness in this character. Therefore, I can do a few different things. I can either choose to go ahead and put a situation where he harms himself so much he is forced to be able to confront his own recklessness. Or, if it is clear that he wants to explore this in a positive light, I can go ahead and put a situation where everybody else doesn't want to do something and he charges forward to do it because he's curious and shows everybody else.
I just want to bring up something of, it might not be that every time when you're making the character and making these decisions, it's part of you, you know? Because, like, as much as I also will put a part of myself in every character that I play, whether it's exaggerated or not, and kind of go with it and see how things go in that respect. I also think that there's a lot of times where the bad thing, the vice, is something that I would never be a part of, you know, that is not a part of me that I would never do, but I want to see how it would play out through a different character, you know, like through a different life, that it doesn't affect me. At least
there's
currently.
There's also the fact too that like take for instance, when I first started making D&D characters, I put a little aspect of my personality, dialed it up to 11.
Yeah.
And that was my D&D character. And now I make characters that are their own thing.
Yeah.
And my focus in how I create characters has changed. But one thing that has stayed consistent rather throughout all of my characters is that sometimes they are dumbasses. Sure. And that is because sometimes I am a dumbass. And your whole like the character is doing something that is obviously bad, like I can't like say like, oh, it was intentional or not, like they straight up may not have known.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not discounting that. I'm sure you know your players better than I know your players.
Right.
And it may have very much been like intentionally like being inquisitive to the point of danger. Something to keep in mind, audience who is also watching this video. It may not be intentional. Sometimes your characters are going to be just dumb.
Yeah.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, especially if they made them with a lower intelligence.
My friend like dropped the biggest IQ move on me the other day, and he was like, I always make intelligence my dump stat for my characters because I'm an idiot. and I just roleplay the characters as good as I can, and when invariably they fuck up, I just go, yeah, it was intentional.
There you go.
And I was like, bro, this man has an intelligence score of 8 in real life, but he's playing 7-dimensional chess.
Yeah.
That sometimes you need to take actions in order to be able to move forward. And that's what I find so interesting about
I liked Indigo says, no, the point of D&D is to kill monsters, take their treasure, and get to power level 9,000. That's true. It's the only thing you do.
Character arcs in Dungeons & Dragons. See, there are two different types of character arcs, or three if you really want to go deep into it, when talking about a literary sense. There's positive character arcs, where your character grows and changes in a positive light. There's negative character arcs, where your character grows to believe something false and therefore has a negative character arc. Or neutral character arcs, in which your character does not change at all, but instead is so steadfast in their beliefs, they change the world and the people around them.
You can believe something, like... So... you can also have a negative character arc where they believe something that is true.
Yeah, like, I don't really know what that was about.
Yeah, like I understand he's putting forth there are multiple kinds of character arcs, sure, but having them be specifically that each time, I feel like you could say no. Some of these can be completely different.
Yeah,
like with perhaps and if we go for something negative, we go let's say the world that this character is in is full, like, has a race of undead that are thinking and breathing, quote unquote, yeah, but like they are a people, right? Like they are their own people, but there are many encounters that this character starts having with undead that are summoned forth that are bloodthirsty and try to kill people and are a problem. Yeah. So, and they're like zombies, right? They don't have like intelligence. They're just there to do the thing where it is kill people and eat them. They believe that undeath is a problem. To such a degree where they believe that all undeath is a problem.
Yes.
And, like, it is true that undeath is a problem in some respects.
Yeah.
but they could also then go and believe that all the undeath is a problem, so they hate this people who are, let's say, they're fine. Like, there's nothing, like, too wrong with them. They're as gray as at all races, you know?
Basically, they're like, actually, never mind. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So, yeah, it's one of those things where that is a negative thing that is the arc, where they now have a hatred of undeath in all forms, based on something that is true.
Yes.
At least conditionally.
To an extent.
Yes, conditionally. Though in some respects, maybe it is always true, you know? Like, it's one of those things.
Something also to keep in mind, maybe he mentions it later on, but he only talks about good character arcs or bad character arcs.
He was starting
to
say neutral as well.
Yeah, and neutral, but
right.
Either way, it's still... My point is that a single character can have multiple different types of character arcs going on at once.
Yes.
Take, for instance, Boris. In the beginning of our campaign, he was very craven, very sycophantic. If he thought that someone was more powerful than him, he would suck their metaphorical dick, just to ingratiate himself to them and avoid issues.
Yes.
As time has gone on, he's grown a bit more confident in himself and his abilities. What with being a dough guy, etc.
Spoilers.
Well, with being a
maybe they should have been watching.
And now he's not nearly as afraid to speak his mind.
Yeah.
However, whereas before Boris was so this would be an example of like Boris sort of coming into his own and more sort of like a coming of age story, but for a devil.
Yeah.
But we also see Boris has sort of, I would say, slid down the slide, so to speak, of morality, but it's more or less just been kind of a leap.
Yeah.
And this boy is like, will very much sell people out for information.
Sure.
Like what he did with the whole Baphomet's, not Baphomet's blood, the Cardinal Horror's blood. He left his entire party behind and was like, this profits me now.
Yes.
Whereas before, he would not have been willing to do anything to risk being seen in a negative light by Mez. Now he's like, it's Boris time, baby.
Yeah.
And like, as he gets more selfish and more willing to sell people out, it's a negative character arc. So like, you can have a character with like all aspects and dimensions and elements to them that can all be like changing at once.
Agreed.
In D&D, most character arcs are negative or positive. And what's so fun is in tabletop games, and hear me out on this because it is my favorite part, in tabletop games you don't choose whether it's a positive or a negative character arc when you first start the campaign. The events, the actions, and everything that happens in the campaign then dictates how your character is going to grow, and that makes D&D and tabletop games the single most exciting and impossibly wonderful way of telling a story, because even you get to be surprised at what happens to your character and the characters at the table. I had a character, in fact the first PC I ever played, who I've mentioned before, D'Artagnan, the gunslinging Dragonborn, who was so close to going through a negative character arc because of the events that happened in the story.
Yeah,
and
it's
it was
that kind
only
of
because
Japanese
one of the
city pop.
other player characters decided to stop taking his bullshit and just stab him in the arm. Yes, this really happened. That eventually he woke up and realized that he was harming other people around them to the point where he made them so angry they wanted to attack him despite caring about him. Now, it was a very interesting situation, and that's not necessarily the conclusion he should have come to, but he did. This eventually led to him dropping his alcoholism at the behest of one of the other party members, and even eventually just giving up adventuring entirely because he wanted to do something more productive with his life. When I created the character, intended for him to go through a negative character arc, so the fact that he ended up going through such a positive one was so fascinating, and the only reason it happened was because D&D is a game of chance and collaborative storytelling. I wanted to tell a certain story. The table around me did not, and we came to a much more exciting and satisfying conclusion. But as a game master, I think it's incredibly important to note what kind of things your characters are going through and what vices they're fighting, and give them options and reasons to face those things and create their character arc. Give them something that challenges the weaknesses that they have. I've talked before about talking about how you have to make sure that your party feels strong by giving them reasons to succeed with their strengths. This is the inverse of that. Not only can you give them reasons to succeed with what they're good at, you can also give them reasons to fail with what they're bad at, therefore contrasting their abilities. If everyone could do a backflip, it wouldn't be special. But because not everybody can, when somebody does do a backflip, it's worth standing out. Same thing here. If you succeed on everything, your strengths are not worth anything. But if you are continually succeeding at one thing, but showing where you fail at another, it contrasts how good you are at something else and contrasts how bad you are with something else. Variety is the spice of life. So too in D&D. That right there is why I choose to focus on characters.
Oh shit, I missed it. What did he print?
It's incredibly important to
it looks like just some church terrain.
Oh, okay.
Here, I'll bring it. It's just a wall.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe a church, may not. All I saw was a vaguest hint of Gothic, and I was like, oh, it's an imperial church.
I also was thinking that. Absolutely, I was. So you're not alone.
Well, okay. How about this? At least maybe it's not Space Marines. Maybe it's sororitas.
I mean, either way.
Yeah.
I know, but at least if it's sororitas, it's less normie, I guess. Anyway.
Dude, he may have just been, like, printing out, like, oh, fuck. What's the largest class of,
Titans? Warlord Titan?
Warlord?
Yeah.
You can't print that shit.
It would take you for fucking ever, dude.
I mean, you could, but good luck getting the fucking STC for it. That's something they would probably try to hunt you down for, because that's a lot of fucking money.
Oh, I missed a bunch of things. In my character, this is the arc, and this is the point where I have to go for the night. It was a blast as always. Catch you later. Catch you guys later. See ya, Steely.
Yeah.
Although I think this is far after you've gone. I apologize. They're not really a negative race, yes. Damn, never mind. I sent my comment before I was done typing it. Gotta run. Appreciate the fun, positive TTRPG content, especially after the implosion of Verum and the Arcadum debacle. Thanks, guys. I don't know what happened. But okay. I'm glad that we could be the positive ones.
Yeah, huh? I don't even know what's happening.
I don't know. Wait, is he talking about the player giving up alcohol in the game or in real life? In the game.
Well, I mean, hey, either way, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, either way, positive.
Yeah. I know that I had like, it was kind of a mini character arc. It didn't really do a whole lot in the end. And I know that you wanted to do more with it, Alejo, and I think you already know where I'm going with this. And it's another one where it actually kind of surprised even me, even though I think I kind of overstepped my role-playing bounds a tiny bit. I did like the tiniest bit of metagaming, but it felt so brilliant at the time that I wanted to keep going with it. Age of Magic Fur, Ralph Henderson. We fought a werewolf. We nearly got our asses handed to us, all of us. And it was down to me and Aiden's character, who was a turtle monk, because everybody likes doing turtle monks because, turtle slow, now monk fast. Anyway.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Also that.
His name was Machiavelli?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and I was a rat man. We fought a werewolf, and I nearly died. Or we both nearly died. He hit me, I failed my save, and I was infected. And then, after that, Werewolf was like, I tried to stay behind to slow him down so that Aiden's character could get away.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did was I stopped him. I said, "Stop! Don't attack me! Can't you tell I'm one of you now?"
Mm-hmm.
And I made a charisma check, and I made it. Spoilers for a campaign that happened like what 4 years ago?
God, it was so long ago. Yeah, we never didn't record it or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And I made my save or my check, and I was able to run away. And yeah, and then that started a little storyline where we had to get myself cured of vampirism. What the fuck's? Oh no,
werewolfism.
Yeah,
lycanthropy.
Yeah, vampirism. I had to get myself cured of botulism.
Yes, that's the one. There it is.
Yeah, and obviously the metagaming was because we didn't know what a werewolf was at the time, but I'm like, fuck, I'm never going to get the chance to do anything like this ever again. I got to try it at least. And nobody had a problem with it at the time.
Yeah, no, it was fine. It was totally fine. I wish I had done more with it. That's the thing.
Yeah, that was
more just on my part, not doing anything about it, really.
That's okay. And then that character arc became me trying to cure myself of werewolfism and basically deciding if I wanted to stay a werewolf or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, because I would have killed people. Because I wasn't at the point where, you can control it.
Yeah, well, for werewolves, if you learn to control it, quote unquote, you actually are like evil.
You have to give into it.
Yeah, exactly. You become evil werewolf.
Yeah, it becomes like literally just the beast is basically taken over. Like,
yeah, death becomes me.
Yes.
And so that was the character arc that kind of came out of nowhere for him, and It was a lot of fun. And it was fun to roleplay it out because I'm like, hey, we need to go to the city. It's going to take some time.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some shackles so that I can tie myself up so that way I don't hurt people when I turn.
Yep.
And that was fun. Ah, what the fuck? How'd you get up here, you shitter? Oh, there's stairs. Fuck. Ow. Sorry.
You're fine. I know Arcadum is a D&D DM Twitch streamer. Okay. I don't know. Whatever. If somebody lets us know later, that's fine.
Wait, who mentioned Arcadum?
That was Draco Kraken said that Arcadum had a debacle.
Oh.
One of my friends has also mentioned Arcadum because he really liked how Arcadum did voices.
Gotcha. Verum is his living world where all his campaigns are set. He's really good. He DMs an average of 25 to 30 hours a week. Jesus. I can't fucking imagine. That sounds like
Jesus
hell.
Christ. No, thank you. Fuck that. I like the DM, but fuck you. I ain't doing that much.
I've done at most 6 hours a week. Like, fuck me, Yeah.
30 hours? What the fuck?
Good for him if he can stand it.
Yeah. Jesus.
That's draining as fuck.
He's got a fucking AI that writes for him.
Yeah, I don't know. But if there's something that happened, Anyway, let's finish this up.
I think it's incredibly important to be able to give your characters the chance to face their vices and come to a conclusion in them. And when you come to those conclusions, it often gives a catharsis to the player because they were able to face something they probably have to deal with in their own life and figure out something about it, whether it was good or bad. If it was negative or positive, it doesn't matter. They went into it and they learned something about it and they knew that they could do so in a safe environment at a game table, and that's very important.
Yeah.
Just make sure that when you do this and you confront them with these things, you know your players' limits and you know that they are okay with this because it is so important to maintain a healthy and safe environment at your table. So go out and run an amazing game, you beautiful bastards. Go out into the world and make it your own. Don't forget to have a great day and never forget to play your role. Thank you. Come again.
Cool.
Yeah. That's fine.
I really like the music in that.
Yeah. I appreciate the jazzy big band. It's good stuff. I always like me some jazz, some big band, One of those genres that I listen to on occasion, just because it's
one of those genres.
Yeah. Overall it was fine.
Yeah.
I had a little bit of contentions here and there, but it wasn't anything major,
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that was Play Your Role. Check them out.
I think we've done one or two of his videos before.
No,
and they were
we've
good those
never
times
done
too.
a Play Your Role video.
I think we've done him before, and it was good that time too.
Well, I will tell you that you are wrong.
Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree.
I can't do that.
Okay. Well then.
Well,
since it's 2020 and we can't agree, I'm just gonna have to fucking kill you.
It became last year?
Yeah, it became last year. It's so bad.
No.
Coronavirus is back, baby. Again.
You never left.
So Alejo, why don't you quickly tell me off the top of your head every single channel we've ever done?
Okay. I've subscribed to most of them with the channels, so hang on. It's off the top of my head, I promise.
Don't prove me wrong.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Oh, I see. I won't.
Okay, good.
I'll just remain silent.
This point
There we go.
hinges on you not doing research and blindly agreeing with me.
I understand. Okay, well then I will stop and allow you to be right. How about that?
And then since I agreed with Boo, that means you agree with Boo too.
Gotcha. Okay.
Also, majority.
Majority.
Yeah. Majority rules.
That's true.
You've been outvoted. Leave the island.
I guess I'm off the podcast, everybody. Sorry.
Aiden, this is your job now. Good luck.
I literally told Alejo at the start of this podcast I did not have enough energy to be a primary host.
Oh.
I could only be a secondary one.
Well, that's too
bad.
bad.
So you couldn't be a tertiary host?
Tertiary.
I could be a tertiary host.
Yeah, it's true.
Alejo,
yes.
Can I invite you back onto the show and you can be primary host, Boo can be secondary, and I can be tertiary?
I guess. Sure.
What the fuck is this?
I'll take it.
Let's get back to what we're talking about. Jesus.
So
the bit is over.
So
we beat it into the ground.
So that's that. Cool stuff. I have seen a little bit of some of the other stuff that he has just as like video titles, and they're interesting, and so maybe we'll cover more of his stuff in the future. But for now, cool.
Yeah.
So,
and then the next one was a Colville video, correct?
Well, before we get to that, it's the midpoint.
Oh, right.
So it's time to shill the fuck out. Hey!
Wow! That gets us money sometimes.
Well,
if you want to donate to the Patreon before he does the shill talk, so that way he does a shout out to you.
Oh yeah, this is a good opportunity.
Now is your final warning.
Well, I've already refreshed, so you're fucked.
Hurry up, pay now.
Shut up.
Give money.
Shut up. All right, so thank you to our lovely patrons who help bring the show to you. If you want to become a part of the Patreon, please do so if you can, and if you want to, don't feel obligated. It is at patreon.com/TableTalkDND. Yeah, so these are our lovely patrons. They are on the screen for you now. Starting off with Draco Kraken, who was in the chat. At that tier 3, thank you. Mog Zero as well in that tier 3, thank you so much. Slazer, also been in the chat, thank you at that tier 3. Steely, who also had to get out of here but was in the chat for a while, thank you as well. Drake Cross at tier 2, holding the line as always, thank you so much. Chris at tier 1, Frozen Spaghetti at tier 1, and Kill Chrono as well at tier 1. Thank you to all of you as well. Of course, there is also the ability to donate to us directly if you want to, whether it's on the stream or off the stream. Go to our website, TableTalk. What is our fucking website? TableTalkDND.us, I believe. It's in the description. You'll find it. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can go and get a shirt or a mug or a notebook or something with our logo on it until we get more things for you. That is what is available on TeePublic. So go over there if you want some merchandise, some physical merchandise.
Yeah, and then we talked a while ago about like oversimplified shit, right?
Right.
I think we should just have ours be like just a red spot.
That's
it.
I see. Right. No.
Okay. That's fine.
This is as simplistic as it can get, with it being something that's recognizable.
It's true.
And I very much enjoy it that way. We can overcomplicate it, sure, but simplify it further, I don't know.
Yeah.
I want a TableTalk design that looks like a Swedish metal album art.
Yeah.
On my desk by Monday morning.
Hey, if somebody's out there and you want to do art for it, if it's pretty good and I like it a lot, I might just buy it off you. So
if I can read TableTalk like on it, then you've not complicated it enough.
True. Someone should change their name to Raid Shadow Legends and donate money.
God damn it.
Oh, no. Oh, thanks. Oh, wow. We didn't even need a sponsorship. Wow. I did a simplified version of the logo. I remember Pizza Fun. I saw it. It was just red on a black background, basically.
Yeah.
It was all blended together and shit.
Nice.
If you're not in our Discord, you should go there, and you can see it all the time if you want. But yeah, other than that, hey, you made it to this point, consider subscribing so that we can get to 1,000 subs, so that we can use community posts, tell people what's going on before it happens. And also, just cause.
We can tell the future that way.
Yeah, we can tell the future now at that point. And, comment, like the video, all that kind of shit, because at this point, you're invested. I know it. You better fucking do it. I don't know. Get us to 100% of people watching are subscribed, because who knows what the percentage is? I will find out right now, because fuck it, it's a funny meme that everyone does. It's not a meme, it's just a thing that people do.
It's not a meme, it's just
because it actually does drive engagement. That's the thing.
It does. That's the thing.
It does drive people to subscribe, and it's weird, but it works. Let's see.
This is why I failed. I didn't beg for shit enough.
Yo, we're at 95.6%. Only 4.4% have not subscribed. Get it to 100%. And then tell other people so that it can be even more.
It'll be 110%.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, thank you. Okay. Let us move on to the Colville video. Now, the Colville video is a rant, as proclaimed by him himself.
Okay.
And so I started
Let's see
watching
if it's not, if it doesn't get us a meme like chop their hands off.
I'm not sure
that's
it's
worthy of calling a rant.
Well, that's the thing. I started watching it and I just started listening to it, and one thing about it I was like, huh? But overall, he words it well because it's Colville. He knows how to talk, you know?
Yeah.
So let me get this down to my external volume player down to 100% because he's a loudman.
He is a loudman.
He knows how to balance his audio. Okay. So, this is Language, Not Rules from Matthew Colville. Yeah, it's it's a thing. We will see.
Language, not rules. Okay.
Yeah, it makes more sense once we get into it.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a rant, I realize. It's not really advice. I don't think we're going to call this a running the game video, so just take it in the spirit it is meant. It is me getting something off my chest. You are encouraged to disagree loudly. There's this phrase the designers use when describing 5th edition, which they also use to describe 4th edition, rulings, not rules. This is in response to the incredibly popular 3rd edition of D&D, which was all about making sure there were detailed and consistent rules for everything, and it did that very well. I've got a whole series on the history of D&D. You can watch the 3rd edition video here. The response to 3rd edition was overwhelmingly positive. Having a robust, consistent system was a huge improvement over Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, but eventually all of those rules were overwhelming. Someone watching a focus test at Wizards of the Coast described 3rd edition as 30 minutes of fun packed into 3 hours. The other 2.5 hours? Looking up or arguing about the rules. So every edition of D&D since then, 4th edition, 5th edition, has pulled back from that level of robust detail. The designers want to make sure there is a system, and it is consistent, but they don't want to create a rule for every possible situation. If there is a system and it is consistent, then the DM can just sort of guess. If there were a rule for this unique situation, what would it be? And if the system is simple but robust and consistent, and the DM knows it well, their guess will make sense to the players. It will work for the moment. And that is way better than stopping everything and spending 20 minutes trying to find a rule in one of these books. That is the meaning behind rulings, not rules. Don't waste time looking it up, just guess. And if you're familiar with the rules, your guess might not be correct, but it will be good. Your players will think, that's fair, and you can move on. The ability to make a fair ruling on the fly that everyone at the table thinks is good is incredibly powerful because it keeps the game flowing.
So, I agree for the most part.
Yes. It is useful to be able to do that.
Yes. Would I say that that's always the case for 5th edition? No.
No, absolutely not.
Consistency is good to have, but I don't think that everything in 5th edition is very consistent. Now, not to say that if you don't look at optional rules, right? If you completely take those out and you don't think about them, then it's pretty consistent. Though cost of things isn't as consistent still, I would say, in the sense of magic items as well as a lot of cost of living. I mean, there is still the table itself that is like, this is the amount that you would need to pay for a good room versus a shitty room, all that kind of stuff. Not necessarily for meals or anything like that. But the big one that I know sticks out is at least the magic items, like, table itself, for costs. Because, again, I guess it is consistent in the sense that there is a table for it, I guess, but
it's consistent in that it's inconsistent.
Right, it's there, but it's so wide a range in the later stuff that it makes it so that a lot of items, they could be from 500 to like 5,000, right? Like in one of the tiers, and that is so big a range that it does not help.
Yeah, it's not helpful.
So even if you're trying to make a ruling on how much a magic item costs, first off, you're using magic items in 5e. 5e doesn't account for this very well. It makes it so that 5e becomes even more of a joke in the sense of survivability and combat, I would say. But it also goes, okay, the immovable rod is in the same bracket as because immovable rod is an uncommon item, but let's see, I think the what is it called, the like manta hood or whatever the fuck, manta cloak, maybe that's not an uncommon item. Let me look up uncommon magic items really quick, just so I can get an example here.
A manta hood. That sounds fucking cool.
It's okay.
It sounds kind of like you wore a fucking cloaker on your head.
It gives you like swim speed, I think, and I think it lets you glide. Cloak of the Manta Ray, that's the one. Yeah, it's also uncommon. Okay. While wearing this cloak with its hood up, you can breathe underwater, and you have a swimming speed of 60 feet. Pulling the hood up or down requires an action. That is on the same level as a immovable rod, or a javelin of lightning, or The winged boots.
Damn.
Those are all uncommon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you would definitely go, well, this is more than this, like in the sense of this would be on the higher end, but how high, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yes, you can figure out a range if you really, really think about it, but is it going to be good? That's up to the table, I guess.
Exactly.
You know, like having something be quote unquote good for your ruling is really, in this case, subjective, I would say. I guess you could put some objective qualities on it of like, do the players hate it or not?
Yeah.
And if that's consistently a yes or a no, then it can become a standard, I guess. It's one of those things where it's a little hard to make an objective fact, I would say.
Yeah, and it's the issue that that people will constantly. I mean, hell, this is what people complain about the most with 5e is both the magic item table and the economy. When you don't have, because the thing is, it is very difficult to come up with rules for shit that an entire table can agree with. However, it is incredibly easy to say, yeah, no, we're not going to follow that rule.
Yes. Yeah.
That is so easy.
It's easier to trim what you want to, or trim what you don't want.
Exactly. And it's so much easier to have an example and say, what, we're not going to do this, we're going to do this instead. As opposed to being, hey, we got to make up an entire rule for this whole system. Great.
Right.
Coming up with a fucking monster can be hard enough as it is.
Yeah. I mean, there are templates and stuff, but you still have to figure it out, you know?
Yeah. Not to mention, you kind of have to tailor the monster to your whole group. So there's a lot of shit that's difficult in these games. We really don't need to not have rules available.
Right. And of course, that's from our perspective in the sense of we like 3.5 a lot. Like that's like it's got a lot there for us to digest, and if we don't want something, we can just throw it out. Like that's just our philosophy in that case.
We are the philosophy of content. I like that, as opposed to all the other people that are like me no like extra stuff.
Right. Exactly. So later on, he'll say something that I go but for now, that's basically my contention so far of like there is a lot of consistency, but there is some inconsistency in there that makes it so that it's a little hard for everything to be that way. And I don't think 5e is so consistent that it's okay to rule some things, whereas it's good to rule a lot of things. I would say that overall it's better at that than it is worse. Player playing 3.5. I want to do a grapple attack. DM, get out of my group. We don't grapple at this table.
I wish I could say that. Boris.
It's so good.
Damn, it's kind of exotic. Shit, nice.
Everyone's still forward progress instead of grinding everything to a halt just to look up a rule. Make a ruling so you can keep playing. Don't bother.
Oh, this is the other thing that I have with contention with that. These days, looking up a rule, I think, is like a lot less difficult.
Yeah.
So like, and looking through
like searchable PDFs, except for D&D.
Right. Right. That's true. But like, so if we're going purely by book as well, I've said it before, but a table of contents and an index are your fucking best friends. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it is not too difficult, and it might take upwards of 5 minutes, maybe. And that depends on, a lot of different factors. But I would say that most of the time, it doesn't take that long to look up a rule.
It really doesn't. Not anymore.
The thing that takes up a lot of time, welcome back. The thing that takes up a lot of time is the discussion of if that rule is something that you want to use. You know, or if there is contention with that rule in this certain scenario, right? I can't think of one off the top of my head at the moment, but I can imagine there being circumstances in which somebody looks up a rule for a certain situation, the person who is being subjected to that rule then goes, well, in this case, I don't think that makes as much sense because of this, right?
Yeah, because of this rule.
Right, and then you have a discussion, and that might make the time go up to 20 minutes or so. It depends on how, like, that really depends on how much you want to argue, you know? Like, and how much you as the DM aren't willing to just go, no, I think, at least in this case, this is how it goes, or, oh, okay, we can try it that way, you know? Like, it really... So, the other thing is, for this focus group that he was talking about with 3.5, I don't know, man. It's a focus group, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about it, and yes, it is a good way to get information, but it's not representative of all tables, I would say. And then it could be a representative of a lot of them, sure. But
that's one table.
Yeah, with the way that with the way of looking up rules. Let's think of back before where they didn't have them as readily available on the internet, sure. If we're thinking about them also not having read the book or really being very familiar with the system, sure, it'll take them a little bit to understand all the rules. That's just how it works. But once they read it all, once they understand it to such an extent that they can play, I think it becomes less and less and less of we look up the rule and more of this is the rule, at least as far as I remember it. If I don't remember it correctly, then we can figure it out after. Or we can figure it out right now, I guess, if we really want to, but we can just keep this going, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm of two minds about this because on one hand, yes, I can see 3.5 being bogged down because of the fact that it has so many rules, because some people need to know them, right?
Yes.
But I also am like, but there are plenty of people that are gonna go, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So I have no idea what's being discussed right now, but that's fine.
Okay.
As one might say, it's fine.
Yeah.
I have a question for you all.
Okay.
I would say with a measure of safety that at times we can all sometimes be shitters.
Sure.
At times. Not all the time. Never.
Yeah, not all the time.
Especially not me.
Especially not.
God, no.
However, to my knowledge, the only one of us four who is not or who has never been a shitter, to my knowledge, is Brogan. And
he tries not to be.
He tries.
He does. One no nat ones.
Yes.
He's a good wholesome boy.
Yes.
And I just want to officially go on the record and say that I will consider my corruption of him to be my magnum opus.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he is a good boy, and I mean, sure.
There's nothing else to do.
Nice.
This life is boring. That's all we have.
I just need to corrupt this good boy.
Now you guys are playing like devils.
I've already corrupted a few people, and let me tell you, I had a friend once who told me that she had never flipped anyone off.
I had a friend once, then I corrupted him. Now he's on my
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, go on.
For friends now. Who told me that she had never flipped anyone off in her entire life. And I went, oh, I thought to myself, we'll fix that. And I got her to flip me off, and I felt so honored when it happened.
Fair enough.
Not only did I get you to do it for the first time, I was your first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I popped your cherry.
Oh, no. Anyway, moving on.
Wasting time looking it up. Rulings, not rules. But I think there is a deeper truth here underlying this principle. It has to do with the purpose of rules. Why are there rules? Why not just make everything up? All of it. From scratch, every time you play. Why have rules?
Because it's a game.
I think the answer is the rules of the game, whatever RPG you're playing, this isn't unique to D&D, give us a language with which to communicate. And it is that communication that's important. And if I'm right, then that's why people get so frisky about the rules. They do it for the exact same reason people get frisky about spelling and grammar, because they are actually the same thing. The problem with this, and I speak in my capacity both as a dungeon master and a professional writer, is that the people who hyper-focus on the correctness of the rules have a lot in common with the people who hyper-focus on the correctness of spelling and grammar. They are, almost without exception, joyless pedants. I speak here as someone who, throughout the entirety of 3rd edition's reign, was one of those joyless pedants. Playing by the rules, by a strict application of them, was of huge importance to me. We had a huge culture clash when a new DM joined our group and ran 3rd edition for us, and he had a troll do a sweeping attack with a log that hit all of us. How can the troll do that? We asked. Because we knew the rules, and we knew that the only way to do a sweeping attack like that was with a feat, and that feat required at least one level of fighter. And did this troll have a level of fighter? That would make it a custom monster, and we were pretty sure the DM hadn't thought that far ahead. Now, I would never in a million years object to something like that. Why can't a troll do that? Perfectly reasonable thing for a troll to do. But back then, we wanted to know that if we won or lost, and it is telling that I'm using terms from sports here, that it wasn't because the DM broke the rules, but it was in spite of the DM following the rules. And we were pretty sure he wasn't following the rules. Mind you, this was the whole point of 3rd edition. I was being a joyless pedant, but I was also saying, hey, the whole reason we like these new rules is because of how robust they are. The fact that there was a rule for how can a troll swing a tree and hit everyone at once was a feature for us. It took a long time for me to realize that the problem wasn't our expectations or the DM failing to meet them. It was the fact that the design expected the DM to follow these incredibly Byzantine rules. I think I told this story, but years later, I made a Bugbear Chieftain in 3rd edition, and I spent literally 6 hours one Saturday calculating exactly which class levels and feats and prestige classes my Bugbear needed in order to use his whip to grab your weapon, pull it toward him, snatch it out of the air, and attack with it. And the entire time I was thinking, if this dude dies in the first round of combat, I am giving up on D&D. He did not die in the first round of combat, FYI. He lasted 7 rounds, and it was epic. But the point is, I've had epic battles last 7 rounds without spending 6 hours building a single villain. So why did I do all of that? Why did I invest like half my weekend on one bad guy for one encounter? Because I was more interested in following the rules than in the game. I was more interested in making sure my writing was grammatically correct than in creating something dramatic.
So I want to say Indigo has a good point here. The troll example is very different than the book. The book is using the wrong spelling and grammar. I think that's absolutely true, because I don't think, because with using spelling and grammar incorrectly, that is something that makes it so it's it's not understandable. And like I understand that he's trying to posit that the rules are a language that we learn to communicate with each other of how this game is supposed to work. I understand that that's his point, but I don't necessarily agree. At least with the same kind of example. I would say maybe in order to make it so that it's like writing a sentence, let me think, I guess, because I'm trying to think of a better example that I would put forth that would be equivalent. Mm-hmm. Because with something so minute as maybe spelling, right? Like, if you spell something a little bit incorrectly, you might still make it phonetic, in which case you still know what they're trying to say. And with grammar as well, that can be the case, though in some cases it can be completely hard to understand. And if you do both, then it makes it a lot harder to understand.
Yeah.
But with using rules in a different way, or not using certain rules, or using something that doesn't follow those rules, I can't think of a way that it works in the same way with writing something out.
Yeah, like, and honestly, just to kind of make it a little bit easier for you to put it out there, they don't equate.
Yeah, it's
as simple as that. Really,
that's kind of where I think I'm going with it, because I'm trying really hard to get to somewhere where I can also understand.
Yeah, I know that. I know you're trying to make that metaphor. You're trying to, but to make it a bit easier on you, like comparing a troll using, not using the rules perfectly versus not spelling something correctly, it doesn't equate.
It doesn't equate in that sense. No, I don't think.
It doesn't. You're good.
I don't think that it's saying that it equates perfectly, but rather you can draw a parallel.
I don't think you can draw too much of a parallel, even though, like, it's the parallel stops at they are doing something wrong, right? Like, because in that case, it's like, are they really doing something wrong for the troll thing? Not necessarily, because again, I would say that even in the 3.5 book, it has all these rules for you to follow, but it doesn't necessarily enforce that.
Yeah, I mean, almost every D&D book has always had, toward the beginning, these are guidelines, not hard and fast rules. Do what you want. That's almost in every DMG ever.
Right. It is in every DMG, to my knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there you go. I didn't want to say every without being 100%.
Yeah. You can say to my knowledge. That's how he circumvented it.
Yeah.
But exactly. So, like, in that case, it's like, for the D&D example, it's not necessarily wrong.
Yes.
It might be wrong to some people, sure. But with spelling and grammar, there are instances in which spelling something wrong is wrong.
Yes.
And using grammar incorrectly is wrong.
Like your, and there, and there.
Yeah.
You see how I spelled those differently.
I do. I can see them in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
But it's...
Which one was the third one?
It was actually the third one was the ERE there.
Yeah.
Middle.
Okay.
The second one was they are there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah. Using the system's rules to simulate the game's action isn't the same as being a grammar Nazi. Somehow he's equating both to being the same in an equally negative way. I would say, I don't think... So, again, he's saying that it's being a joyless pedant. So, yes, he's trying to do that.
Pedant, but...
Either one, I don't know. Fucking, who do you fucking know? I don't know.
Yeah. Who the fuck knows?
But, so I would say, yeah, he is kind of trying to equate that, and I don't necessarily agree. Because, I don't...
Counterpoint.
Though... Well, let me just say, he did say specific people who fixate on this are those kinds of people, right? And they are equivalent. In which case, I would say, potentially, sure.
I would say that I have no issue with the parallel being drawn because they are, at their core, people whose main characteristic is that they're unable to break from any sort of quote-unquote rules system,
sure,
be that grammar or D&D. and who, as soon as they see a rule, a quote-unquote rule being broken, be that in grammar or D&D, like, kind of, like, have a mental spasm and then just, like, look at you and go, no.
I can see that being the case. I guess if we're using specific hyper-fixating people, potentially. Again, yes. I don't necessarily 100% agree. I say potentially. But what do you describe by taking 6 hours to work the 3.5 spreadsheets to pull off this bugbear specific action showcases one of the things I don't like about 3.5. Well, so that's the thing. With creating a monster with a template and such, you didn't need to give them fighter levels and shit.
Yeah, you just let them do that.
Yeah. There was no need for that.
For whatever reason, they have the ability to do that.
Exactly. Like, there's nothing that says specifically, like, I know the feats themselves are there that say you need this level of fighter and stuff, but let's be fucking honest. A lot of monsters just have abilities that are those feats and such.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So, like, why the fuck wouldn't you just give them that ability and not just do that laborious thing? Because, again, this is an example of him being that, into it to the point of, like... Yeah, he's into that to the point of he's trying to make everything like that, in which case I would say the only time that I do that for... like, actually giving feats and stuff is when I make a player character, because that's what the feats are for. They're for player characters, and potentially, I guess, like, NPCs that you want to have levels. Like, you want them to be, like, a DMPC or something, But I wouldn't say that this is something you need to do for monsters. Boo, you've made monsters in 3.5.
Yes.
You've used the templates and stuff, and I doubt that they've taken for that long.
No.
Yeah.
The longest monster that I've ever had to make was something that is completely outside the books.
Yeah. So... and
even that didn't take that long.
Yeah. So, this isn't something that I would say that is something that's wrong with 3.5, because, again, the creation of a character usually, I mean, unless you're starting at level 10 or something, right, and you have to calculate everything beforehand, usually you're going step by step, level by level, right? You don't have to do it all at once, and you don't have to take 6 fucking hours.
Yeah.
It does not take that long to make a character in 3.5.
Yeah.
I would say upwards of an hour.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's if you get really in depth with it. If you want to go as fast as you can, you're going to get it done real fast.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it usually takes me about 10 minutes to make a character.
I'm giving the hour.
Well, then it sounds like you don't care much about your character.
I'm giving the hour as the generous estimate.
That was clearly what I meant to imply.
But yeah, so I don't know.
Writers are not primarily interested in syntax and grammar. They are first interested in drama. We want to write things that move you, that excite you, that provoke thought or emotion, and these things have nothing to do with grammar or syntax. Oscar Wilde, and there are few writers in the English language who wrote with more felicity, would turn in his manuscript to his editor with a note reading, "I trust you will correct all of the woulds and shoulds, wills versus shalls, and that versus which." Shakespeare routinely ignored the rules and just invented. He invented new words and new phrases. He turned nouns into verbs. He was a master of the English language, but mastering it meant expressing himself with joy and invention.
So there's a difference here between then and now.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that you're trying to go for these examples in order to make your point a little bit stronger, and I agree to some extent. But also, like, at this point, we have a developed language that we would be using every day, and we have these things set up so that, and not to diss on writers that don't. I will. So if you're not going if you're not going to try to even correct your own writing, if you don't care, Like, that's not something that I'm going to, praise you for.
Exactly.
At this point,
if it is a mistake that you miss, totally fine.
Yeah, that's fine. But if you're just
everybody fucking makes mistakes.
If you're just intentionally saying, someone else will figure it out, it's like, okay, do you give a shit? I don't know, man.
I would argue that an author can find better uses of their time in like correcting story, like potential plot holes and stuff.
Sure.
Than in correcting their grammar.
I would argue that both are tied in a lot of cases, though.
I would say that, like, it's not a big enough issue for me to care about because it is, after all, a rough draft and it's being handed off to specifically an editor whose job is to edit.
Yes, I agree, but you shouldn't just do a first draft and then hand it in.
No, God, no.
That's what I'm saying. That's like...
Yeah, that's what he's mean. That's what he means. Don't just do a single rough draft.
Right, that's basically what I'm saying, because at that point, it's like, you just put ideas to paper and you didn't care, right?
Yeah.
And without even trying to redraft it or really try to make it coherent enough that you would read it yourself and then have an editor go by and then do the small things that you missed, right? Like, how much care do you put into your writing at that point?
So I don't know the difference in when to use like shall versus will and stuff like that.
Sure.
And if I were to write a story, I would just leave that and say make it right.
That's fine.
But I would argue that does not invalidate the how would I put it? It does not worsen the validity of my writing.
No, well, so I guess my point here is more of a personal one of if I were to write something and not care as much to look over it and try to find parts that I could make better, whether it be plot holes, whether it be sentences that don't make sense grammatically, whether it be small spelling mistakes. If I don't care enough to do that, I don't know why I've written this in the first place. Is this a paper that I've turned in for school that I don't give a shit about? Then in that case, I guess that's what I'm doing, right? Like, then I can understand my perspective in that case, because I just want to get it done and I just want it to be fucking done, right? Mm-hmm. It's not something that I'm passionate about in that case, right? And I guess that's my personal thing of it doesn't seem like there would be passion in that kind of respect if I were to just write something and go, here, you fix it. Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, in the sense of if I continuously do that without learning that I'm doing that and trying to make it better,
Yes.
It just feels like I don't care enough to do that. And that's something that just irks me, because it's like, why wouldn't I want to make the best kind of thing that I can make,
Yeah.
Editing is the most underrated skill in writing. Literally, they have to read through crap, then fact check said crap, then make the crap digestible. Most bad stories and articles don't have editors. That's true.
Yes.
That's true. Or beta readers. A beta reader can do you a fuck ton.
Or an alpha reader.
Yeah.
You prefer an alpha.
Having been a beta reader, I can say that I have helped. But yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I just...
What about a gamma reader?
Oh.
Or a sigma reader?
The best reader.
Omega reader. Anyway, go on.
Not the one who obeys the rules the best. It is one who creates the most memorable works. That is you. The dungeon master and the writer are the same. Neither of us are teachers or editors. I've got about 100 videos in this series, and almost none of them have anything to do with the rules. Almost all of them have some incredibly memorable story in them, and those stories have almost nothing to do with the rules. The people online who share their experiences, their characters, moments, campaigns, storylines, they are joyfully sharing the drama that happened at their table. And in my experience, the more fun the story, the less anyone's talking about the rules. And almost without exception, the people I see online complaining about the strict application of the rules do not seem to me to be people who take pleasure in the joy of the game. Are they brimming with stories they have to tell about their games, or do they just hover around online waiting for someone to make a mistake? These rules pedants seem to me to be precisely the same as the grammar pedants who worry about less versus few or uninterested versus disinterested. These people are not primarily interested in writing or storytelling or dialogue or character or
So I guess
you can't make an assumption about someone else's character.
I was gonna say this is very assumptive, but what I will say that I will give him in favor of this is if we ourselves are hyper focusing on those that hyper focus to this degree, then of course, sure, I can agree with you on most of what you're saying, but again, we are going for a very small subset of people, I think.
Yeah.
And so like I think overall this is blowing up this is making a mountain out of a molehill.
Yes.
You know?
retention.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay.
Or pacing. They don't seem to care if the people at your table are having fun. They only seem interested in policing other people, controlling them. Well, sod them, the lot. The rules are not a tyrant to be obeyed. They are a tool to help you. They work for you, not the other way around. And what are the rules for? They exist for exactly the same reason as the rules of syntax and grammar, which...
I disagree a bit with that.
So what I wanna say, at least just in general to this now, is the only time I see any of this stuff come up is when we cover things like this. Right?
Yes, right.
I don't see this on any, maybe that's just because I'm not in the right circles, right? That could be the case. I don't see enough. But that's the other thing. I don't care to be in those circles because I feel like I don't need to worry about what other people are saying about this kind of stuff to such a degree that I want to be in these kinds of circles, right?
Yeah.
And again, the only times where I give a shit where people are wrong about some things or giving opinions that I don't personally agree with are on the show.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, actually, this reminds me of a conversation I had with one of my friends that I work with. Her name is Mary, and she's also big nerd, big nerd. And also, difficulty challenging. Fuck. Anyway, big nerd and into D&D and all that good shit. And she has a Kenku character, and the character is named Hey You.
Okay.
Literally, Hey You.
Sure.
And she was talking about her. She was talking about the character with somebody online, I think.
Okay.
And basically, people started to give her shit because they're like, you can't name a Kenku Hey You. It has to be like the sound of exactly. It has to be like the sound of a babbling brook or something like that. It's like
the whole point of
they mimic everything.
The sound of
exactly.
Perhaps they mimicked a guy saying "Hey you."
Yeah. So now the reason why they have the name Hey You is because they're a klepto. Yeah. And so every time they're in a city, they say, "Hey you, thief."
Right, yeah, okay.
And so that's how they got their name.
So yeah.
So it's another example of people not willing to accept anything outside the rules occasionally.
I get but that's the thing. That's not a thing in the rules though. Right?
Well, actually I think if you look up obviously it's not a rule, but yeah, if you look up Kenku or dwarves or elves, it gives suggested names.
Yeah, and again, that's a suggestion, right? Like,
exactly. But it's in the book, so it must be true.
Well, that's the thing. It's another thing of like, oh, the book can do no wrong, right? Like, I will follow the book 100%.
I ascribe that more to a lack of imagination.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
it's really dumb.
And that's the other thing of like, that's why I don't really follow circles like that because it's like I know that there will be some times where somebody will say something and I'll just go no, and so I won't pay attention to them. You know, that's the thing. I don't pay attention to them because I don't care, right? Like there's no reason for me to. But yeah, hey, I actually got a chance to come back for whatever's left now. Hey, Steely, welcome back.
Hello, Steely.
Indigo says, "Is it me or is he being pedantic about pedantics?" Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mean whatever.
Pedantic.
Yeah. Ugh. I hate that.
No, so this is, you're right, and like I know this is a rant, but even so, like this is it is so hyper specific, and as I said, mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah.
Just ignore them, man.
Yeah.
Just ignore them.
Don't
watch season 8.
Yeah, just don't watch season 8. Yeah, but no, in this case, it's like, just don't.
Yeah, no, you should.
Don't worry about these people who have a small voice of something that doesn't matter, that aren't going to change anything, right?
Don't worry about how these other people play their game.
Yeah, exactly. In this case, it makes sense, huh?
Because when you said that, like when you said ignore the people with the small voice, I honestly thought you were gonna say ignore the people with small dicks.
Yeah.
I know ignores whenever they feel like it, and that is they exist to help you communicate, to express yourself. They allow you to be creative. They are building blocks.
So I had thoughts about that. You're saying like, or rather his saying like the rules work for you, yada yada. That is a view I used to have and have started kind of moving away from.
Okay.
Because as Matt Colville mentions, the rules are how we speak to each other, or how I would put it, the rules are how your players understand the game and what's happening to them.
That I would
agree
with
such,
more. Yeah.
You cannot, like, with wild abandon, ignore the rules.
Yes.
The rules and you work for each other. You are meant to be the DM, the arbiter of the rules. And while it is true that you can like choose to ignore them at times, I would say that freely ignoring them whenever you want is going to lead to more trouble down the line.
Well, it becomes inconsistent, and inconsistency is the death of most things. People are going to notice the inconsistencies and start calling you out for it because they are inconsistent. Like, why should they care about this world if it's going to continuously flip-flop, right? Care about what their characters are going through if the next day something could be completely different, right? Consistency is important, everyone.
It is.
Always remember, be consistent.
You can ignore or take apart and put together however you see fit. Rulings, not rules, but language is under all of it. I can speak a sentence no one has ever spoken before. I do it all the time. What are you doing? I'm putting the blue-flavored Go Juice into my Smart Water. Blue flavor? Blue flavor? Flavor can't be color.
Yes.
Well, yes it can. I just did it. You've all had Otter Pops. You know what blue flavor tastes like.
Yes.
Let me give you a concrete example. In the 4th edition game I've been streaming on Twitch, Anna wanted her high elf fighter to run and jump onto the back of a griffin that was 50 feet in the air and flying away with the party's warlord.
Okay.
That's what she wanted to do. The question was, did she have enough movement to do it? Well, she could run and gain more movement that way. She could run twice. She could jump as part of that movement. She could phase step, and she had an action point. She had lots of tools to get up to the back of the griffin, and doing some quick math, I was pretty sure she could do it, but I didn't know exactly the proper combination of these options. So I just made a ruling. You can do it if... And I proposed something that required an athletics check and involved her action point, and it made sense to her. No need to look anything up. Folks in chat said, well, that's not how the rules work, but rule of cool, which I think misses the point. The rule of cool says, don't let the rules stop players from doing awesome stuff. The implication is, you know what the rule is, but you create an exception to allow the player to do something amazing. But I didn't know what the rule was. I didn't let Anna jump onto the griffin because I thought it was cool. I let her do it because I was pretty sure she could. And in fact, I inadvertently penalized her. I said she could do it if she used her action point, but after the game, I read some rules and I realized she didn't need to use her action point. Her knowledge of the rules and my knowledge of the rules were imperfect. But that is not a problem, because the goal is for us to communicate, and we did that very easily.
And I would also say you looked it up after the fact because you were unsure, and then you learned what you could do better. Yeah. Because the rule exists, and you read the rule. So now you do know, but you can still do the thing that you wanted to do, if you wanted to. But you just have that backup knowledge, unless you forget it, in which case, okay. Nice, you know? I don't know.
Okay.
The rules are also hopefully designed with careful testing and balancing, so changing too much can mess with the balancing of the whole. Agreed.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Rule of
free teleporting and free hide check.
Rule of cool is not a rule in any RPG. No, it's just the popular thing that people just say, you know. And like, obviously, I would also say rule of cool doesn't necessarily just mean what he stated. It also means what he did. I think rule of cool is very much a versatile thing of just you just did a thing that was kind of cool because fuck it.
Yeah, and honestly, the way I use rule of cool is I guess what I was gonna say is, like, just because you're trying to do something cool doesn't mean you're going to be able to do it. I will let you attempt to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again, I realized, like, as I was thinking that, that's basically exactly what it was. But
right, yeah. I mean, well, that's the thing. I think it's so vague and versatile. Like, that's just how it is, because it's just the saying of, we don't give a shit at the moment. It's just fun this way, and we're having fun. Fuck it. You know, and so it doesn't. It's just that's just how it is. We don't have to say that there is a specific definition. Like, that's a little much.
Yeah.
The rule provides us with lots of building blocks, like words, that we put together
which is ironic now that I think of it, because of the subject of the video. He's now defined what rule of cool is, even though I would argue that it's not something that is strict in that definition.
Yeah, so, that's kind of the whole point is for it to not be that.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Something like a sentence that made sense to us and everybody else in the game. RPGs are different than board games or card games or sports. Those games are competitive, and they rely on the rules for entirely different reasons. Because in those games, there is a winner, and the rules tell us who won, and following the rules ensures the competition is fair. But RPGs are not competitive. We have an entirely different relationship with the rules. The rules for an RPG are a language. It doesn't matter if you're using them exactly the way the designers intended or the way other people at other tables use them. What matters is that you are able to communicate with the people at your table. That you are able to.
And yet you hyper fixated on how some people are using them and how some people, like, come on, man.
Yeah,
and a bit of a contradiction in that.
Yeah, I actually have slight. Well, I don't know if I should at this point, because we're going into people who, you know, have issues with the way you say things. But he was the one that brought up grammar first.
Sure.
So I don't know if I see the rules in a tabletop RPG as a language. I see them more as just a way for it is a. What is the word? It's a bridge between the players in the real world and the game world, because that is how the rules tell you how you are able to interact with the world, how you are able to swing your sword, etc., and like what you actually need to do, yada, yada, yada. I never really see them as a language.
Oh, fuck. I had a word for it, and now I'm losing it. Fuck. I had a word. Damn it.
I would define it as a language, Boo, simply because it's in the same way as you define a programming language. It's understanding in order of operations and how it takes place in a very specific order. I do this, their health lowers by this much.
Okay.
Okay.
I can see that.
It's a language in that regard, not like
it's a language
English or Spanish.
In the simplest way I can think. It's an if then.
It is assembly. Yes.
That's all I know about programming. If then.
Yeah. Well, assembly is a programming language.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying in programming language, all I know is if then.
Well, yeah.
But I'm not a programmer, so fuck it.
Dude, I hate programming, and I have to take a couple of courses on it, and man, I fucking hate it. It's so annoying.
Rip. I just shot a guy in the dick to kill him.
Hell yeah. So I like how he went on about talking about spreading grammar rules, but he also wants to hold on to the definition of rule of cool. Language isn't rules, Matt. Well, disregarding grammar rules. But he also wants to hold the definition. Yeah, there's a couple of contradictions in here, so I don't know. I don't know, man. Again, it's a rant, so there's not going to be total coherency, I guess. But at the same time, like, yeah, it's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's what we're
creating new and unique and exciting. Folks like saying that the purpose of language is to communicate, and this is true, but one of the primary reasons we choose to communicate is to express ourselves in new and unique ways. But the folks who say that the purpose of language is to communicate usually mean that any deviation from the strict application of the rules can only cause confusion. This is not true. Everyone knows what it means to boldly go where no one has gone before.
Who the fuck are you? You're talking about such a small. Oh my god.
Okay, I will shit talk his very strict example.
Yeah.
Because I find it fitting that he talks about William Shakespeare being like a master of the English language,
right,
and making words up and stuff. Like that boy made up the word armpit. And you know what? I'm going to use the word armpit to refer to knee now.
Okay.
So if I tomorrow happened to sprain my armpit and I went to the doctor and I said my armpit is hurting, and the doctor said okay and started looking at the area below my arm, and I said no, idiot, my armpit, and I pointed at my leg. No, my armpit.
Right. And you kept changing every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The doctor would be a little bit confused.
Probably a little pissed.
Yeah, probably.
A little pissed.
And your claim that like, oh, it's only joyless pedants that can only think in those terms. It's like no, they do have.
There's a purpose to this.
Yes. Words mean things.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd have to tell this to a writer.
Right, exactly. Like there's also, and again, you can equate that to rules also mean things. So how you are, and this is another thing of consistency and inconsistency. Like it's another example of it. So no, that's what they mean. They really just mean communication, says Pizza Farm. Yeah.
God, is Matt Colville one of those people who says that when they say the curtains are blue, they have to mean they're depressed?
Sad curtain. It's got the big sad.
Comma out of. Let's see, Grandma. No one will think you intend to eat your grandmother. You broke a rule, but you communicated perfectly clearly.
Are we fucking
if you
really
leave a comma
using
out
that?
of the sentence, I'd like to thank my parents, God, and Justin Timberlake. Some folks might laugh, but they won't actually think you mean that you are the offspring of God and Justin Timberlake. Communication,
all
expression,
men are the
creation
offspring
are
of
all
God.
possible, and in many cases require a healthy disregard of the rules. So don't wait to start running D&D until you have a perfect mastery of the rules. That may never happen. And there are no rewards for running a game 100% by the rules. No one comes and congratulates you.
Nobody.
The rules aren't sitting behind the screen. You are. WotC
actually, if you have the rules on your Game Master screen.
I mean, a lot of the time, that do you have a book by? Okay. And like before that, it's
short of the people in Brogan's comment section, I don't think people are oftentimes thinking that you need a perfect photographic memory recollection of the rules.
Again, like legitimately, he's talking to a group of people that aren't the people that are going to watch this video.
Yeah,
I feel, at least. I mean, some of them might, sure, but they're like, you're talking about such a small group of people and talking right to them.
Yeah,
like this is for them, and I understand that that's the point of the rant. But like, also, why? What you needed to get this off your chest. I understand that, but
yeah,
do it. I don't know, man.
Just like do it in a Twitter post and be done now.
Like, if you're gonna do that, do it. And I guess if you sent this to that group that you see all these people talking about this shit, and you have them watch it, then mission accomplished. You've told them. You're telling us and most of the rest of your audience, who I fucking assume don't think this way. Yeah. And I'm gonna be pretty confident in that assumption. I don't know, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm glad you got it off your chest, but okay.
Oh, when he's still getting it off, there's still 3 minutes.
I know,
left
there's still 3 minutes left. Off. So yeah. Yes, there is. There's a lot of satisfaction in running games by the rules. Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing. It depends on the person. There can be, there can't be. Like, it really depends on who. I like running things by the rules because I like being able to know things.
Yeah,
I like
and it also depends on the rules. Like, if it's Shadowrun, it's awful. But if it's D&D, it's great.
Ooh.
Well, okay, Shadowrun 5th edition. How about that? Or a 3rd edition?
No, 3rd. Okay, yeah, that one.
Yeah, it was 3rd. I think.
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. Like, it for you in that case, yeah,
it was awful. Right. But I'm sure for you guys, it was great.
Right. And
if I were shot in 1 round, and I didn't get to say Tarkander Gunderson in his ear.
And if I were to run it, I feel like I would be fine with it, right? Like, because it's just another. It's just a case by case basis.
Yes.
As a player, I have greater trust in GMs that play by the rules as best as they possibly can than GMs that make up half the shit they do. Well, that's your fair. Prerogative, right? Like, again, he's I don't know who. Again, I know who he's talking to, and it's not us.
Yes, exactly.
It's just not us.
Behind the screen, you are. If something goes wrong, if your players don't have fun, that's on you. You can't blame the company who made the game or the people who wrote the rules. They weren't running the game.
This has become an entirely different point.
I think, a
this is a whole other
for teaching people how to run D&D, and we almost never talk about the rules. That alone should tell you how important you, the Dungeon Master, are to the game as your players experience it.
It's never been in question.
It's a truth table, right? I've had sessions where I never had to look up a rule and we had a lot of fun. I've had sessions where we never had to look up a rule and we did not have fun. I've had sessions where we did have to look up the rules and we still had fun. And I've had sessions where we had to look up the rules and we did not have fun. Therefore, a perfect understanding of the rules is clearly not necessary. This is a series about being a Dungeon Master. It is not a series about being a game designer. As a Dungeon Master, I have a healthy disregard for the rules. I am primarily concerned with drama and communication, which includes invention and creativity, putting the building blocks of the game together in new and...
At the same time, I haven't heard him say that the rules can facilitate this.
Yeah.
You know, like, there are two sides to this. You can have both.
No, you can't.
Okay.
Fuck you, Alejo. Get out of here.
I don't know. It's just.
We can't have both. You can't have cake and eat it.
You're right. I can't do it.
It's impossible.
I can blame the player for choosing not to have fun. It depends, right? It really does.
Depends.
So if they are purposefully going in there and trying to ruin the experience for themselves and everyone else, then sure, blame them.
Then absolutely you can blame them for that.
But if they just don't mesh,
have fun.
Yeah, if they just don't mesh, then it's not their. It's just the fact that they don't mesh, and they can.
Different people consume media differently.
Exactly. So
I consume media through my ass.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chug that media, baby.
Hell yeah. So yes, you can, but it is definitely one of those things of like you have to have a good reason at least.
Yeah.
A novel way to solve unique problems and keep the game flowing. As a game designer, the rules are of primary importance to me, and if I have done a good job explaining my attitude as a dungeon master, then you'll understand why the rules are so important to me as a designer. Because I am literally designing the language my customers are going to use to communicate. And when we're doing that, we cannot screw around. I mean, Kingdoms of Warfare is much more successful as a language, orders of magnitude more successful than Strongholds and Followers. I can tell that because of the ease with which people are communicating about it in our Discord. They are able to use the terminology to have complex discussions about hypothetical scenarios, and it all just happens naturally. People are able to use these rules to communicate because of how much more time we spent on the rules. A whole team of designers and an excellent cadre of testers, none of which we had on the first book. It is more successful as a rule book because it is more successful as a language. The folks in our Discord...
I think you just wrote it better. I think you just... like you learned from your previous thing.
That's what
I guess
saying.
Okay.
It's more successful as a language because he wrote it better.
Okay.
We're talking about they're using the rules in unique and inventive ways that are not strict.
It's just the use of language is throwing me off every time, I guess. Every time he says it, I'm just thinking like, I don't know. It's just like, yes, I guess overall, if that's how he views it and it makes him a better writer, then great. I'm glad, you know? But at the same time, it's also confusing me just because I don't view it as a language, you know? Like, I view it enough as a language, like you said, like a programming language, sure. But I don't, it's not, sorry, I just had a moment.
No, you're good.
But yeah, it doesn't, I don't think that's the same way that he's viewing it, so I guess it's just a different perspective. That's because his first book kinda sucked. I don't know, that's the thing. I think I haven't looked into it too much, and I have no opinion, so I cannot weigh in.
What we intended, but they are clearly the right solution.
This is the internet. You can weigh in even if you have no experience.
That's true. Is the power of language. Thanks for watching, everybody. A bit of a rant. I look forward to seeing your responses in the comments below. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who disagree with something that I said.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's a rant.
Yeah, it is a rant.
You know, it's just whatever.
Yeah, it is par for the course.
Yeah, I mean, again, I disagree with some things, but there's nothing that it's just a personal thing to a personal thing, I guess.
Yeah.
All the rules to use everything in the first book are really in the second book. Oh, okay. I don't know. Anyway, that's that video.
Yeah.
If you don't know him, Matt Colville, he's got some good videos.
Yeah, he does.
You should check them out.
Yeah, because we've done a video from him where someone accused him of doing something, and it was completely taken out of context.
That's right.
I forget who accused him of what. Oh, it was railroading. Right.
Yeah, that's right. They accused him of railroading to the highest degree, and it was like, no.
Yeah, no, it was literally the opposite.
That was funny. I remember that.
It was great, actually.
But yeah, that'll do that for us for tonight.
Yeah.
Overall, Olive Man. It was Olive Man. That's right.
Oh, right. Yes.
That's right. Thank you.
I don't remember who Olive Man was. I just remember that he was a man who had olives.
Right. Exactly. That's all I know, and that's all that he.
That's all we need to know, really.
Yeah. Yeah, so overall, you can have multiple character arcs, and rules are cool to use. And if you don't want to use some rules, that's fine.
Yeah.
And don't be a hyper fixating person, I guess.
Yeah, don't be a rules lawyer.
Right? Like, to such a degree that it's debilitating.
I don't know why he avoided that term so hard.
It's because it's a buzzword. And
I guess, but I mean, everybody knows what, you know.
No, that's the thing.
He didn't have to put it in the title.
He avoided it because it was a buzzword in his talk about how rules are a language and languages are meanings that allow us to convey our thoughts and be understood by people.
Yeah, because
so,
right.
Ironically,
it might be a buzzword, but everybody knows what that means, as opposed to calling them a rules pedant or whatever he called it. Pedant, whatever.
Yeah, no,
penis.
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Excuse me. I don't know. I feel like yeah, it could have been a little bit more easily digestible. In that respect.
Fucking writers, man.
In that respect, it could have worked a little better if he had used it. But I also understand not using it because I think a lot of people think of rules lawyers differently. I don't know. That's
fair.
It's one of those things that can also be misinterpreted just because of what they define their rules lawyer as, right?
Rules lawyer versus rules enjoyer.
Exactly. So yeah. Anyway, that's it. We can go now. It's time. Okay. So thank you to everybody for hanging out and watching, and in the VOD, if you are hanging out and watching, appreciate you. Again, our show is brought to you by lovely patrons that could be even you. Wow, crazy that. And that is, as I bring it up again, right here: Draco Kraken, Mog Zero, Slazer, Steely, Drake Cross, Chris, Frozen Spaghetti, and Kill Chrono. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. And also, as always, appreciate all of you who have subscribed, who watch the show, who like the show, who tell people about the show. I don't fucking know. You do whatever capacity you do it. Thanks. You can, of course, find the show live on Tuesdays, usually, at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can do the conversion. I believe in your ability to Google. And then again as a VOD on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then again as an audio version on Mondays around noon on your podcasting service of choice at noon Eastern Standard Time as well. Devils and Dice, a new one will be coming out tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's only an hour and a half because we did a lot of leveling in the beginning. But it was a fun
Okay, good.
time.
You didn't record all that.
No.
I thought you did.
I didn't think to. I would.
That's
good. But excuse me. Every Tuesday we communicate using language. It's true, Steely. Yeah. But yeah, thanks again to everybody for coming out. Join the Discord, like the video, subscribe to the channel, fucking do all the things you fucking know. Look in the description. Look at this stuff. Anyway, we'll see you next week, everyone. Bye.
Bye now.
Goodbye.
Goodbye
now.
Goodbye.
Good evening.
Farewell.
Good